It's the last vPub of 2023. And I think, despite all the challenges that we've had throughout 2023, I think it's still been a good, interesting whiskey year. That's what tonight's vPub is about, is to look back on the 12 months that's just gone, pick out some whiskey highlights, illustrate it with some nice bottles, tell a wee bit of a tale behind each one of them, bring in some guests for a bit of gamifying fun, and see out the year with a quiz at the end. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too, and I'll see you all in a second. Hello, whiskey folk. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the vPub. Welcome to Thursday night. I hope you're all sitting comfortably. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to the last vPub of 2023. It's kind of crazy. Every time we say the same things, don't we, when we sit here at the end of the year and we look back and we say, where has time gone? What's happened? Well, I was quite surprised, actually, because I had to sit down and obviously prep for this thing. I had to think about what happened at that time of year, kind of what bottle was maybe relevant to that moment in time, what was happening in the channel and the community and the whiskey sphere, what was going on. And as you look back, you think, wow, some of these events, some of these moments, some of these vPubs, some of these bottles of whiskey feel like they were a longer time ago. Some of the bottles I feel like they've been around a lot longer than just this year. It's kind of strange, and it's nice to kind of look back on things. However, sometimes I am suspicious that we do tend to look back with those kind of rose-tinted, nostalgia-filtered spectacles, don't we? We kind of look back, and often we recall these memories and we build them up to be more impactful, sweeter, shinier, warmer, fuzzier than they actually were. Especially that's true when it comes to whiskey. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to run through things in a very kind of, it has to be fast-paced because I've got a lot to get through. It really has to be fast-paced. Those of you watching on the replay have the benefit of going through the chapters. Whoops! Almost knocked over my first ever glass live in the vPub. Caught it in time. There's only a wee drop left in it, luckily. So you'll be able to catch up and flick through to the salient points using the navigation that I've put in after the event. But if you're joining live, I hope you can just kind of kick back and reflect and share what moments you've enjoyed in 2023, what bottles you've discovered, and what's made 2023 a positive for you. I think there's too much to be negative about sometimes, even in our whiskey realm, honestly. So tonight we're going to be focusing on the majority positive. But in the new year, we'll pick up some of the crunchier topics, some of the predictions for 2024, some of the challenges that we're facing, some of the challenges that the industry is inevitably going to face next year and things. But for now, we're looking back. And I think that's appropriate. I think it's the right thing to do. I've got guests in the background because tonight I'm going to gamify things a wee bit and back through popular demand for one night only as a game of Is It a Speyside? I've got 3 sniper coins here, already looked out. 3 sniper coins for potentially up to 3 participants tonight. We'll wait and see how that goes. And I'm kind of looking forward to it, although I have to declare at the outset that, and I will declare when we go to play that some way through the middle of the stream tonight, that we are all going to be a wee bit rusty. And you're going to need to remind us how we actually play that game. Fantastic. Anyway, it's nice to welcome you all. Before I get started on tonight, before I get things going in anger, I'm going to do what I always do. I'm going to jump into the lounge and welcome some of you beautiful whiskey folk and dedicated barflies. Cheers. I need to get something in the glass. Why don't I just top up a wee bit of my first dram? Keep it off screen just now for suspense, of course. Now, this is probably the biggest dram I'm going to be pouring tonight because I've got a lot of bottles of whiskey off to the side here, and the majority of them I'm going to be pouring a wee tiny amount I don't have any responsibilities tomorrow. I'm not driving anywhere early in the morning. There's no curfew tonight, nothing. So I'm going to pour more glasses than I normally would on a vPub. I normally put out 5 or 6 glasses and that's it. Once all the glasses are dirty, I don't pour any more. But tonight I've got a few more than that, just in case I want to remind myself of some of these particular whiskies I'm going to talk about. I've got off to my left here about a dozen bottles. 9 of those bottles were contenders for my Whisky of the Year. 8, let's say 8. Out of the 8 bottles that were contenders for Whisky of the Year, I've obviously picked one. And at the end of tonight, I'll share that with you. I hope you're all looking forward to it. Whatever Whisky of the Year actually means to anyone. But, you know, I never look forward to doing it and then inevitably have fun doing it. So I'll share that with you. Anyway, the lounge, how's the lounge doing? Red Sox's Whiskey Bear Andrew is here saying, evening, Roy. Good to see you, Andrew. Fantastic. Max Kreitner is here saying, good evening, my friend. Always great to see you. And you too, Max. I hope you and Christina are doing well. And Danny Hebbington is saying, evening, Roy. Max, Andrew, and Danny to kick things off. Fantastic. Graham Young is also here from Canada. Wonderful stuff. I wonder, you know, this Thursday night and between Christmas and New Year, it's kind of like, these are the days of the year that I have to remind myself what day it actually is. It's these kind of greyish days that just kind of merge into one big blob. But it is absolutely Thursday night. So I wonder how busy it's going to be. It's nice to see Graham Young, and that's what's popped into my head there, because perhaps Graham might not always be able to join us quite as early as he is tonight. Good to see you in, buddy. I hope your pal Gino is here too. Hoyt is here. Good to see you. Missed last week's vPub to celebrate my birthday. Oh, just having another one is a celebration. I'm going to click the likes here for your birthday, or the wee celebration icon there, Hoyt. And I'm going to ask everybody else to do the same and raise a wee glass to my pal in the States, Hoyt Hemphill. Many happy returns, my friend. I hope you had a blast. Sorry we missed you last week. Jimmy Jazz is saying, good evening, all the great barflies. Good to see you in, Jimmy. Fantastic to always welcome you. Alan Smith is here saying, evening, Roy. Hope you and your family had a great Christmas. We did have a great Christmas. I hope you, Alan, and all of you guys did too. It almost seems, it was 4 days ago now. It seems like it was just yesterday, right? Jenny Miller is saying, good evening, Roy. Glad I can make the opening. Catch the rest later. Thank you all for a great year. Jerry, wonderful for you to drop in and say hello, buddy. I hope you do enjoy it when you pick up on the replay. And Helen is saying, hi, Roy. I hope you had a fabulous Christmas. I did, Helen, and I hope you did too. I heard that you were up in Edinburgh celebrating today, and you're already back down in the lakes for a cosy time in your favourite spot in the north of England there. Fantastic. Good to have you in. I hope you and Andy are well. Alex the Hogsheads is here. So Hoyt, Alex, and a few others that are in here tonight put their names forward to participate in us at a Speyside tonight. And I had quite a few names, so I did what I always do. I put them in a wee spreadsheet, randomised it, and I asked my digital assistant, who's not on my wrist tonight, asked Siri to pick out numbers at random. And that's how we ended up with our guests, participants tonight. But what it did show me is that there's still a lot of appetite out there for people to step forward and on a live vPub and play a wee challenge game. So that was quite fun to see. Thanks for everybody that put their name forward. Warner, the One Glass Man, is in saying cheers from Florida to all. Good to see you, Warner, as well. I hope you're keeping well, my friend. Brian Caballes is saying good day, Barflies. Good day, Brian, all the way down in the Southern Hemisphere. It's amazing, Brian, that you join here almost every week. David on as well. Good to catch you live. Having a signature Glen Lossy, 12-year-old ex-bourbon. Sounds perfect, David. And it's wonderful to welcome you live as well. I know you religiously pick it up on the replay, buddy. It's always great to welcome you in when you're sat atop a bar stool. Annie Tiger is here saying, hi, Roy. I hope you had a nice, relaxing Christmas with the family and friends. I did, buddy. And Nick, Whiskey 101, is saying, evening, Roy, and all the wonderful barflies. Nick and Arnie, I hope you guys had a wonderful Christmas too. Graham Fraser is here too, along with Prime Whiskey. Prime Whiskey's a barfly. I feel like I've seen your name before, but it might be the first time I've welcomed you. He's saying, evening, Aquavitae, evening, right back at you. Thank you for being a member at the Aquavitae Barflies. Thank you for supporting the vPub and keeping it ad-free. That's what the Barfly subscription does. It's only $1.99 a month or whatever. And we're now at a point that there are so many Barflies that I get more from you guys than I ever got from YouTube for advertising. It's just a no-brainer for me now, and it's wonderful to have the support. The people who keep the vPub going, the people who keep me in a job doing this thing, buying whiskey, keeping the lights on, all the tech, everything. All of that comes from the Patreon support. You guys on Patreon have been amazing this year. Absolutely fantastic. I know that it's difficult. I can see that times are tough. I can see what happens in Patreon. I can see how it attenuates up and down, depending on how hard and how much people are having to cut back. I understand the fact that you've remained and still been about and supporting this thing. It really does breathe life into the channel and makes me realize that this is a privilege and a really, really fun thing to do. So thank you all. Thanks to you all. Jamie Brown has joined Aquavitae Barflies. Jimmy Legg, celebrating being a member for 46 months and saying, I hope you and Leonard family have a great 2024. Thank you very much, Jimmy Legg. We're looking forward to it. I hope you and Angie and yours do too, buddy. Thank you so much for being here always. Gav Lewis, celebrating being a member for 5 months. Good to have you, Gav. Danny Hebington just gifted 10 Aquavitae Barfly memberships out there. So generous, Danny. Thank you so much for your generosity. And Rick Johnston is celebrating being a member for 16 months, saying, Aquavitae, San Francisco holiday greetings, Roy. Right back at you from Glasgow. Glasgow to San Francisco, Rick. Wonderful to have you in. Let's catch up. Oh, it's a huge jump there. I think it was running quite behind. I was just about to read something from Greg there in France. Hopefully you're in for the night, Greg, and I'll be able to pick you up again. But Whiskey Wolf, evening Ryan, everyone, and I hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas. Slanchit, thank you very much, Wolf. And Terry KGB is saying, I'm following this vPub from a scientific research station in Antarctica. Not true, but I thought maybe that could help me being mentioned by Roy. I was struck by it because the chap who is probably watching the vPub tonight, he's probably sitting on his couch watching it maybe, or listening to it in the background. The chap that runs the socials for our Dramface has been to scientific research facilities in Antarctica regularly. He is an Arctic explorer and does all sorts of things like that. Very interesting guy. Teddy, it's crazy that you would mention that. You had me going there for a second, buddy. Nice to welcome you in always. Jimmy Legacy, nice to watch. Nice watch. Looks very special. Yes, this is my favourite wee watch. It's not this year's Christmas gift. It was last year's Christmas gift, but it's actually designed, built, and made by, well, not built, but yes, it's made by a barfly. Gordon Fraser. This is one of his watches, his designs. I think even the strap is one of his designs. It's just a lovely thing. I wore it because I never charged my Apple Watch last night. So this is my kind of dress watch. I wore it tonight because I always need to wear a watch. Nice of you to notice it, Jimmy. And Whiskey Radar saying, good evening, Roy. All the barflies looking forward to tonight's vPubs and your thoughts on 2023 Whiskey of the Year. Well, let me try and keep up with the chat as much as I can tonight. I know I missed a huge chunk out of it tonight, but just throw in and try and get my attention if you can as you share your things. But I think we need to clip through it as quickly as possible. There's a lot to cover tonight. Carson is saying, hope you survived the festive days, Roy. Sipping an independent bottle in Highland Park from 1993 tonight is my birthday just now. Just got 30. So Carson, it's your 30th. Let me once more raise this glass. Karsten, very many happy returns. What a privilege it is for us, for you to be sharing your birthday with us, my friend. Happy birthday. Cheers. Let's get those wee celebration emoji going. Fantastic. And time for a dram, Gregor. Good to see you, buddy. He's arrived home. He was in the UK. Brilliant time we had together as well. That made my December. It was fabulous, Gregor. The vPub providing a safe haven for us all this year. Such a great community, which is an echo to its founder. Raising one to use soon as I'm unpacked, Roy. Gregor, I hope that unpacking is easy and out the way quickly. I hope you get a chance to throw your feet up after that pretty relentless travel home, no doubt. Thank you for your kind words, buddy. Thank you for your friendship, your support, and thank you for that wonderful Sunday we had in Edinburgh. Cheers, Gregor. Along with our pal Sevi, the alchemist, and Scotty Munro, Kilted Moose. All right, let's just get on with the whiskey that's in my glass right now. One more birthday, though. There's another birthday, and I bet he's not even in tonight. I hope he's not in tonight. I hope he's out having a fantastic time, kicking it off somewhere and celebrating his 48 years. I shouldn't even say. But Nick Gascoigne has also got a birthday. Menno pointed it out to me earlier today, so I'm raising a happy birthday to our pal Nick Gascoigne as well. Cheers, Nick. Many happy returns. Talking of Menno, it was the last day of 2022. Menno, I think, or let's say it was the last vPub. It was the last time I did a live in 2022, and Menno and I are relaxing after the live stream. He'd been on to host a quiz at the end. And this is the way I remember it anyway. And he pulls out a bottle of whiskey and he says to me, "What do you think of this? Have you heard of this?" And I hadn't heard of it. But while we were talking and while he's enthusing about it, I jumped on and I found it. It was fairly inexpensively priced. And just based on Menno's recommendation, I took a punt and I bought it. That was the first of perhaps 8 bottles. I'm just guessing here. I didn't keep count that I've bought throughout 2023. Now, 2 of those would have been for the Blind Challenge in Glasgow in November. This whiskey won it. It won. It was the cheapest whiskey. It was the only world whiskey. But prior to that, I had been buying it and gifting it, just giving it to people, maybe sharing it, and if they like it, just giving them what's left in the bottle and things. Because this is the type of whiskey that I think a lot of people would be put off because it's not Scotch. That would be a mistake. One of the themes throughout 2023 in the vPub is to stay open, to stay adaptable, to keep our loyalty in check, because our loyalty can be abused. So we have to be fickle. We have to be promiscuous with our whiskey. And even if it's just to check what other things are available to reassure us that all the wonder is in Scotch or whatever our preferred lane may be, then we still need to dabble elsewhere in order to achieve that. This whiskey has had me realise that all the value is not in Scotch, as if we didn't know that already. But a dram's come in from Carlos Sanders. He's saying, "My birthday's in a week. Does it count for a shout out?" Absolutely, Carlos, it does, my friend. In a week's time, many happy returns to you, buddy. Cheers. I won't be here to do it. I'm taking a wee break in January. More about that a wee bit later. Daniel Williams is celebrating being a member for Adaptable for 36 months. What did you decide to put in the decanter? In this decanter, there's nothing in it yet. This is stock from my big Infinity, whatever you would call this thing, a demijohn, just for aesthetics, and to put Santa on top of it just now. I think what's going to go in that decanter, Daniel, is Kleinleash or something. I don't know. Something nice. Thank you very much for it as well. This is a decanter. I'll try and show you. Sent to me by Daniel Williams. It's Santa's sitting atop right now. He's lost his hat, his head, but there's a barfly engraved into it, which is just fantastic, right? And there's even a wee line at the back to remind you when to refill it if you're going to be running an Infinity style bottle. So there you go, Daniel. I'll work out what to put in that soon. Andrew M is saying, "Evening, Roy, trying Glen Scotia Mermaid tonight." Ooh, nice one. I hope you're enjoying it, Andrew. And he's celebrating being a member for 20 months. And Rick Johnson, I think I picked yours up, Rick. But Stephen, Andrew, and Daniel, thank you all for supporting me as barflies. For those of you that have not worked out the whiskey I'm speaking about, it's this one that has been given a lot of coverage and airtime over the course of 2023. It's Indri's Trini. This is the whiskey from Piccadilly in India. I think it's a masterclass on transparency. There's no age statement here because, of course, it's Indian whiskey matured in India. We're never going to see a 12-year-old Indian whiskey. It just, the water evaporates it out of it so quickly that it's, I'm just going to switch this off, it's flashing away at me. The water evaporates so quickly. It's very, very difficult for them to get it to an age. So it matures in a very, very different way. But everything else is here. They've written non-chill filtered, right in the front, no added colour, right in the front, 46%. They've got the proof here as well, 80.5% proof against 46. So it's imperial proof. Of course, it's Indian. It makes sense. Trini, the 3-wood. This is matured in 3 different woods. They tell us what the woods are on the back. I'll get to that in a second. Because on the back, it's even more interesting. As well as telling us that it's ex-bourbon, ex-French wine, and ex-PX sherry casks, they also go into lots of details about the manufacturing date, November 22 in this case, and the batch number. This one is batch 3. Everything that we need, everything that we would want, everything that we would ask for. This is the whiskey I'm putting forward for my January pick. And here's how tonight is going to work. That was right at the end of the year I picked this, January, by the time it was delivered, and it lit up my January. This whiskey has pretty much punctuated my year, and every time I've got to share it with somebody new, it's been a wee highlight. Vicariously enjoying something that you've discovered from Menno, thank you, that I can share to other people and see them enjoying it too, is a wonderful thing. One of the wonderful treats that whiskey has for us. Indri Trini is my pick for January. Why am I talking about my pick for January? I'm going to go through 12 bottles tonight, one for each month. And the reason that I'm doing that is I picked the 8 bottles that I'd whittled down, and I was going to share these 8 bottles with you anyway as my runners-up to my Whiskey of the Year, 7 runners-up, and then my Whiskey of the Year, of course. So what I decided to do was just go back and kind of look at the year. These 7 bottles, almost all of them fitted into something significant in the year that happened at different times of the year. So what I did with the other bottles is I just picked something that fitted that month for whatever was happening. I just crowbarred in some others. So we'll clip through that as quickly as we can, but if I go all the way back to January, I'm very grateful to my pal Menno for putting me in touch with Indri Trini, which has been a real hard-fought contender for Whiskey of the Year. It would have been the first time I've ever put forward a world whiskey for Whiskey of the Year as well, but it came very close. The icing on the cake, it's £40. Incredible value. Cheers, Benno. Cheers, everyone. And here's to Piccadilly's Indri Trini. We've got a cast strength one out now called the Drew. It's featured on the cast strength vPub earlier in the year. It's very good too, but I don't know it nearly as well as I know this 46% version. Let's move on to my second whiskey. It's quite amazing that this hasn't been my Whiskey of the Year in the past. I talk about it so much, and it's yet another year that it's not made it. So let's slip into February now. Why am I talking about Speyburn in February? Because Speyburn could really fit in any month of the year going forward. This is, of course, specifically the Speyburn 15. But if you want to go a wee bit more expensive and put your money on the Speyburn 18, you're not going to be disappointed there either. This is still fantastic whiskey. I was a wee bit disappointed that it didn't do better in the blind challenge last week. I was curious to see how it would hold up with the people participating in the blind challenge, especially against the Benromach 15. It came a joint third, I think. I've now got a link in last week's vPub for all the details so you can find out exactly who placed everything where, how much points each bottle got, where it placed, all of that stuff. However, it didn't quite beat the Benromach 15. But remember, it doesn't really matter. The blind challenges are always super small sample size, and it doesn't really mean much unless somebody's standing up and saying this is awful or this is not good in the contrast of the other ones. But that didn't happen. People enjoyed everything that I shared last week, but I wanted them to be a bit more vocal, a bit more, I wanted a wee bit more flattery shown toward Speyburn's way. Regardless, it doesn't really matter. Everything I'm going to share with you tonight is my own personal take, my own personal opinion, and that's how the night is going to continue as we go through month after month. I picked this for February because it was free and available, but I also picked it because after me just talking to you about being adaptable, about being promiscuous, and about being fickle, and not giving our loyalty away cheaply to be abused, what I'd also like to do is hold on to that loyalty. Hold on to some of that loyalty. For producers, especially in 2024, it's going to be tough. Sales are going to be hard to come by, I predict, in 2024. For us to be loyal to the producers who were good to us. For the producers who chose not to price hike. Even in the face of extreme inflation and energy prices and everything else going up very quickly, we saw certain producers out there being careful and measured about their pricing, not getting carried away. They tended to be smaller producers. They tend to be more under the radar producers. They tend to be independent producers, of course. Not always. I think Speyburn If you look at the inflation over the last 3 years and look at the prices of this increase over the last few years, it's actually under inflation. First time I picked this up, I think it was £49, something of that order. If you want to pick this up today, it's £65. And again, but I keep holding it up and saying, find me something that gives you this experience at 15 years old for that price point. Anything to go up against it. It's really difficult, because even if you pick that Glendronach as I did in the blind challenge, you're paying 10, 15, maybe £20 more over a bottle of Speyburn. This is just terrific whiskey. It really is. And that's the bottle I'm going to put forward for my February pick. How have you got on with your Speyburns? Going to be continuing to pick up the orange tonight. I had Jimmy Legacy and Aquavitae. It seems like you really like whiskey. You should get involved with other people who like it too. That's a smashing idea, Jimmy. People like yourself, my friend. Cheers, Roy. Aquavitae, I love it too. So Menno is in tonight. Thank you so much, Menno. I'm glad that you're still enjoying it. And Armorik, 12-year-old Greedy Angels came in France in 2020. Second edition. Aquavitae, just checked. Greg, hang about tonight. There's going to be a wee mention for French whiskies tonight. Hang around. Tim Lux is in saying, I drained a Speyburn 15 a couple of weeks ago. Fantastic dram. Glad to have a backup. Cheers, Aquavitae. Fantastic. It's good to know that other people are enjoying it. I poured a wee bit heavy on that one. Not intending to pour that much tonight. I need to be mindful. I'll put it off to the side as we skip into March. March is kind of when the travel season kicks back off again, right? I'm not what you'd call a whiskey traveller. I'm quite happy sitting here in my own wee space, in the vPub, speaking to you every week, and that's fine. But on weekends and when there's the occasional whiskey trips or whiskey festivals, some local and some further afield, I like to get out and about, because as Jimmy Legg has just pointed out, so much of it is about mixing with those people, those whiskey folk. Greg is saying, oh, cool, Aquavitae, it was about time, or just the right time now for me to start talking about French whiskies. I know Graham Fraser is here saying, I had a trip to Blair Athol last week, and the prices of most of the bottles in their shop meant I never saw any visitors buying any bottles. I know. It's gone too far, Graham. We're finally voting with our wallets now. We're finally voting with our feet, and we're going elsewhere. It's the worst thing to turn up at the distillery, the source, and have to pay more than retail. It's not fair. Anyway, this is up next. In March, I managed one of my trips. Cousin Craig Dollier had his birthday, his 50th birthday, a big birthday, and to celebrate, he wanted to go to Islay. Of course he did. And he hopped off to Islay, and a few of us managed to join him. Cousin Kevin joined me as well. Willie Dollier joined. We went out to Islay together. We had a fantastic time. So, of course, for March, for that Islay trip, I'm going to pick an Islay whiskey. No uncorkings tonight. All of these bottles, of course, given the context of the topic tonight, are going to be all open. I am so disappointed about this from the blind challenge last week. I was convinced this was going to win, to the point I had been sipping the whiskies that I put forward for the blind challenge, and this was my favourite, time and time again. It was just so obviously right at this time of year. It was so obviously just such a pure, clean, balanced, delicate thing. I said, how can people sipping this blind not pick it out as their favourite? And it came last. It came last by quite a significant chunk. Quite a few people put this in last place. For me and one or two others, we put it easily in first place. This is one of Islay's Guardians. Given everything else that's happening around this expression from this producer, I'm glad to have this still solid and carving its own furrow almost, because everything else around it seems to be wildly variable. Because it's down to, I think it's because it's non-age dated. This has to be age dated. And the special editions that's coming out from this producer are just wildly overpriced. They have tapped into a seam of hype, and they are bringing out hyped products in the true sense of the word hype. That is, it's spoken about louder than it actually deserves to be. But this one is not hyped. This is Ardbeg's 10-year-old, fully natural whiskey, 46% ABV, non-chill filtered, and no colour added. And this one is Again, I've poured a wee bit more than I want to, but I'm only going to have wee sips. I'll make a super blend at the end of the night. It's creamy. It's light. It's fresh. It's outdoor. The peat is cold. It's cool smoke, almost cold ash. Stones and beach fire, mineralic. Fresh lemon, but not lemon juice, not tart sharp, but more like lemon rind, waxy lemons. The bottle I had before this was probably one of the best Ardbeg 10s I've ever owned. This one, I hope, gets to be as good as that one. Everything you want from that. Look how pale it is. It's actually as pale as straw. It's white wine. It's so pale. Gorgeous colour. Gorgeous mouthfeel. I know a lot of people are being turned off, switched off the brand. I understand why. I can see a lot of it happening in front of my eyes, but still the brand march on, preaching to their choir, preaching to their choir, preaching to the converted. It's just they need to find out a way to engage new people in the brand. Anno is not doing it. I don't believe it really is. Corryvreckan, Ugadal, batch variation all over the place, arguably not what they once were. Of course not, because the overaging, the older stock isn't going in there anymore. It's far too valuable and there's far less of it. They need things like this. This is the rock solid fulcrum. This is the thing that's holding that whole thing together. And it is absolutely gorgeous. Multi-mission at the start of the blind last week, I just didn't connect with it. Same with the Port Charlotte 10. And I love both whiskies, but it cruised its way to the front throughout the evening. Interesting, Menno. Really interesting. Ryan Sutherland is saying, even around the barflies, a bit late, just as remembered it's Thursday. That's what I was saying, Ryan. It's that time of the year in between Christmas and New Year where the days don't really have a name. They just all merge into one. It's always brilliant to welcome you whatever time you get here, buddy. Good to have you. I think I'm doing okay on time tonight. Could that be true? Could I keep this up? Could it be an on-time vPub? Could I stay focused? Is it perhaps one of the very few vPubs that actually have a flow to it? Because I've got so much to get through. Let's keep it going. Because it's interesting as we come out into springtime in 2023. 2023, for me, as we went from March, that Islay trip, very, very quickly after, just a few weeks after, I managed another wee trip across to Germany, and it was fabulous. Brian is saying Ardbeg 10 was my second Islay bottle to taste after my gateway whiskey that was Lefroy 10. Terrific, Brian. I wonder, did you like it more than Lefroy 10? Or Pedro is saying Ardbeg 10 is a perfect example of what a permashelf looks like. I think that's exactly right. I think it's exactly right. Permashelf is making a reappearance early in the new year, Pedro. It's been a long time since I've done the permashelf topic. I looked at it. It's changed quite a lot. It's changed quite a lot. Jimmy Leg is saying, what's on time? I know. That's right, Jimmy. Why do we even care? Why am I even monitoring it, right? And Alan Smith is saying, not a chance. Love the Ardbeg 10, Graham Young is saying. For so many memories and reasons, always open here. Wonderful. And Scotty S is saying, stranger things have happened. Everyone's talking about my timekeeping here. Scotty, it's good to have you and my friend. I hope you're keeping well. Danny Hebbington is saying, take your time, no rush, mate. That's right. There isn't a rush. It's Thursday night and it's the vPub. And also, it's the last vPub of 2023 before a break in January. I'll not be back here until I think, I'm embarrassed to say, and I'm going to get the date up so it's the right date, but it's a Thursday, you know, if I make a mistake, it'll be the nearest Thursday. I think it's the 18th before I'm back. Thursday the 18th is the first vPub back, looking at my predictions for 2024. There's a chance that could morph into a wee bit. There's a vPub scheduled out for the 25th that's very, very close in terms of topic and scope, and I might mash the two together. But there's a guest scheduled for the 25th, so I might just leave it as is. Anyway, the point being that I'll be taking 2 weeks off, and that's a wee bit to do with kids and family. My girls are going through their exams, their prelims right now. A lot happening at home, but more than anything, we need to put in these wee health breaks, these wee perspective breaks, these wee kind of anti-burnout breaks. I don't feel like I need it. Really, I don't. But I also know that I've benefited from it. The summers that I take off, I very much benefit from. And I suggest to you, I'll put it to you, the reason I'm still going after 7 years, well, the channel will be 7 years in February, is that I've been taking these breaks. So, and I also promised my wife. So I think I need to continue that. Normally it's just a week in January. This year, 2 weeks. Gerben is here. Gerben Leeuwerk. Let's go with that. Of all the island, sorry, Gerben. Of all the Islay whiskies, I keep coming back to Kilchoman Sanic. Tops Lagavulin 16, in my humble opinion. I think what you're speaking about, Gerben, there is very specific to something that's happened to Sanic in 2023. Certainly from my perspective. Watch this space. I might get a mention a wee bit later tonight. Says Ari, saying my best Elach is PC10. I have 2 bottles of this belter whiskey. So great that you're enjoying it as well. Again, another Islay whiskey that I might find some time to speak about. And Jimmy Leggy saying, I think you should spend a week or 2 away from whiskey. I can't believe the pace you set for yourself. That's exactly what I do. But when we talk about that, you know, the perspective, it can be a little tainted. On Christmas Day, I had whiskey, but I think I had 2 drams. On Boxing Day, I had a dram. Last night, I did have a dram last night. I was almost not having a dram, and I had to go and do a bit of stuff on admin. I ended up reading some tasting notes, put me right in the mood for it, and I went away and I poured a dram. It was a Loch Lomond. It's coming out tomorrow. So I ended up, so I think over these last few days, these kind of usually really busy drinky days, I've had very, very little. And I think you just have to go with your mood. You have to go with your gut. You know when you're having too much, and you know when everything's in check. That said, the 2 weeks in January will be all about that, not just about drinking less, but just stepping back and getting a bit of perspective and just kind of processing things. It just makes sense, doesn't it? And Whiskey 101, Nick is saying, I'm enjoying my anti-burnout break, which was very much needed. However, my liver is now thinking it needs a burnout break too. Oh, happy holidays. For a lot of us, Nick, honestly, give yourself a break. That's what the holidays are for. We all know, especially if we apply a wee bit of awareness, we all know where that limit is. And Bud Jenkins, good to see you, Bud. Managed to meet you. We managed a handshake and a hug in 2023, buddy. And it was a pleasure. He's saying, Aquavita, it's a good time for you to take a nice break and spend some time with the family. I wish you a very blessed new year. And you too, Bud Jenkins. Thank you so much, my friend. A dram come in from David Hong. So fantastic, David. Thank you so much. Happy holidays, my friend. Best wishes in the new year. David Hong, thank you very, very much. Cheers to you for your dram, my friend. And Brian is saying Ardbeg 10 was better than Lefroy 10. But I have a soft spot on Lefroy 10 and still standing strong. But of course, it's that special gateway whiskey. Whether it's a gateway malt or gateway Islay, you're always going to have a soft spot for it. So as we move into talking about my trip to Germany, an amazing trip it was. Limburg, can I just say now that it is not fully booked. I've booked my accommodation for Limburg in 2024. I don't have tickets yet, and I don't have flights booked yet. So let's say it's not locked in, but it's in very, very hard pencil. I think it's the 27th and 28th of April, 2024. Really hoping to get back to Limburg again. If you're a whiskey fan, a whiskey lover, for me, it was just a bit too crammed on the Saturday. It was a bit too jammed. Going to try and focus on the Sunday. But for me, it's just a festival not to be missed. And I have the feeling that it's going to be difficult for more of these festivals to exist in the future, certainly in the UK, because of things like Brexit. But you've not only got independent brands and small brands there, and some larger brands too, but you've also got lots of individual collectors that are bringing some really, really interesting whiskies, long discontinued whiskies, unicorns, rarities, all open, pouring by the dram. So you can just walk around all day holding bottles in your hand that you've perhaps only ever heard about or only ever seen pictures of, and you're able to try them. All just a question of price, of course, but you can always find bargains. First time I tried this whiskey was in Limburg, 2023 in April. And I was very impressed. So impressed that this has been a wee bit like the Indri Trini for me this year. I have bought so much of it and gifted so much of it because it's such good value. You already know what I'm talking about because you can see the wee label at the top. I've just poured a wee drop of this one. This is Adelphi's blend, their Maclean's Nose, 46% ABV blend. Now, grain whiskey doesn't have the same conditions of chill filtration and things like that in ABV that malt whiskey does. But regardless, this is a 70% malt blend. Only 30% of the whiskey in this is grain. So it's presented at 46%. It is natural colour and it is unchill filtered. It tells us on the label that it's unchill filtered, I think, but it doesn't mention anything about colour. But I think they are talking about changing that with future releases. Regardless, this launched at £30 with the increased duty that we had this year in 2023. One of the negatives, unfortunately, it went up to about £32 in the UK, but it's still available. There's plenty of it out there. You can pick it up anywhere at that price. And see anyone that just drinks this and gives it a hard time or says it's not that great, they have forgotten the lens to view this whiskey through. This is an expensive premium whiskey and an inexpensive premium whiskey all in the same breath. What do I mean? Well, it's a blended Scotch whiskey. So having that blended Scotch whiskey descriptor on the label means that it's potentially competing with a raft of abused, diluted, unengaging, low margin, low quality, mass market blends. And I know I'm being brutal there and I apologise for that. But that's where we are in 2023. These blends there's no engagement there. If we're relying on those blends to bring people into Scotch whiskey, those blends are not going to do that. They're just going to give people a drink. It's just a drink, and it's a whiskey flavoured drink at that. There's very little quality to be found in the blend sector. What we've seen over the last few years is a change there, a shift starting to happen. So blends are not that abused product anymore. It's long been needing a shot of adrenaline, and it's producers like Adelphi that's been able to do it with this. Now, they have the wherewithal, they have everything at hand in order to do it. Fair play to them, they did it. Thompson Brothers managed to do it as well. There are new producers out there doing it too. I'll talk about them a wee bit later. But I think it's fantastic to see this, and it's fantastic to see you, the community, engage with this too. Ralphie just nominated this, a blended Scotch whiskey and non-age stated, as his whiskey of the year for 2024. Ralphie looks forward with his whiskey of the year. We can say no more than that. Cheers to you all. I always describe this whiskey as outdoor whiskey. And it really is. It's that kind of outdoor cool breeze. It's got the smoke, but the smoke's in check. It's got that salinity there, that kind of almost West Coast Ardnavitaes style. It is that the texture is different there. You can sense that it's a blend. The texture is slightly different. It's just a medium finish. It's not hanging around too long, and this bottle's been open a wee while now. This is probably 3 or 4 months open. But the first time I tried this was in April, when we were in Limburg. And the months after, I was buying it regularly. My pal came up from down south, Whiskey Jason. You might remember, not Whiskey Jason from Germany, but Jason Whiskey Wise from London. He doesn't do his YouTube thing anymore. He's now working for the Whiskey Exchange. But we met up in Glasgow for a bit of lunch. He expressed an interest in this. I marched him to the Good Spirits Company and put a bottle of it in his hand. I hope that he's enjoying it too. I hope you guys are enjoying it. I love it. Just an easy, soft, and yet not flavorful, and yet challenging, and yet it's just for £30. You know that we're in good hands. This is what blends should have been. The bigger producers have the ability to do product like this, but I don't know why they choose not to. Maybe because they don't think they can charge £30 for a blended Scotch whiskey. They need to do the Pepsi challenge a wee bit more, I think, and get people sipping it. Max is saying, don't forget, we got to taste from the first ever produced bottle of that glorious blend. That's right, Max. That's why I picked it. We were in the Adelphi tasting, and I think it was just even a prototype bottle that we were sipping out of. We were in that tasting together, buddy. Thank you for reminding me. Danny Hebbington saying, perma shelf for me, that. Danny, that's fantastic. I think you're in England, or I think you're in England. Fantastic, you can get it. Brightstorm is saying this year's Maclean's Nose and Loch Lomond single grain have been incredible drams at even better prices. Glad you're enjoying them, Brian. Just as it jumped, let me get it back, Brian. I'll get it back. Bargain drams that everyone should sample. Maclean's Nose, my bargain buy of the year. I agree. A blended Scotch whisky, about 10 to 15 pounds maybe more expensive than typical blended Scotch whisky bottles, and we're calling it a bargain. Why? Because it's flavour first, it's quality first, it's integrity first. Get on board. It's not going to switch overnight. Not everybody's going to want that overnight. They're going to just want their 15, 16, 17 pounds bottle of blends. If that's just after a drink with a whisky flavour. Sure, I understand the market. But more people, as time marches on, are looking for flavour. They're looking to drink less and enjoy more. Anthony Lambert is saying, for me, 2023 was the year of non-age statement and young whiskies. Armorik and Sherry Cask, Meikle Lag, etc. whiskies punching way above their weight. They prove you don't need high age statements. They do prove that, Anthony. But I think what's most exciting for me is because even these young whiskies, you make an absolutely rock solid point. But they are relying a wee bit on very, very over-exaggerated fermentation notes and things, that kind of modern style of lots of fermentation notes coming through and things like that, which is great. But they're also relying on very, very heavy cask involvement too. I just hope that there's lots being put down there in really quite quiet casks for longer periods of time to preserve that thing that makes Scotch magical. I really do hope that. What it means for me, Anthony, is looking forward and being excited about the future. Graham Fraser saying, credit to Compass Box for raising the profile of Scotch blends away from cheaper bulk blends. Well, they did do that, Graham, but it was malt, wasn't it? The blends that you're talking about, the Artist blend and Great King Street, the Glasgow blend and Artist blend, yes. They did it a wee bit, and they did something like that, and arguably they were just a wee bit ahead of their time. But I think the B word has been diluted over the years thanks to Compass Box, because they sell the majority of their product is a blended malt. Spot on, Graham. Chris Banks Wildlife, good to see you, Chris. I hope you and June are doing very well. I also like the North Star's 10-year malt blend. Absolutely, there's so many to choose from these days. So many new things coming in to the mix. I've got the Fool, I think the new one's the Magician from North Star that's just come out as well over there. I've got another blend to share with you next. Bear with me and I'll get to that in a second. Danny is reminding me, of course, he's in Brechin. He's up in Brechin. And Seaweed World, that's Sherry, isn't it? Sherry has bought me a dram. She's saying, Happy New Year to you all. Just popping in for a short while. It's jumped there, Sherry. Hopefully I can get it here. Just popping in for a short while, and we'll see the rest in replay. Thank you, Roy, for all you do. So appreciated. It's amazing that you would even drop in here to say hello, Sherry, and leave a wee dram for me before you go and relax wherever you are. I think you're on the West Coast. You're about 8 hours behind us as well in Canada. Cheers, Sherry, to you. Many Happy New Year when it comes round. Cheers to you. Let's skip into May and stay on topic. Is Anthony, I think it was Anthony that just pointed out, talking about younger whiskies, talking about being excited about the future and talking about punching away above their weight. I have to say that I think that's also true of blends this year too. 2023, a lot of people were predicting that it would be the year of the blend and things like that. And I think that to an extent it was, but there's still some space to go there. I think some people stepped into that space because they had to, because it was the obvious gap. Some people stepped in because they were genuinely excited about it and they felt they could add something to it. Quite a few people just noticed this space that blends could potentially fill. in a category that's been largely abused, as I've said already, I won't stay on it, and ignored for so long. There was an opportunity to bring flavour, quality, integrity, some transparency into that space as well. Another producer, now this isn't, I don't have any of the whiskey. I don't have any of the whiskey, but middle of the year, I did a blind challenge with this whiskey in it. And it won the blind challenge. And it was a blended Scotch whiskey, not a blended malt, a blended Scotch whiskey. That means it was a mix of malt and grain whiskey. And it won the blind challenge. It won. It wasn't this one. This is the new core range from Turntable. This is their Bittersweet Symphony. We've got Smokin' Riff and we've got Paradise Funk. Some special editions here and there coming out now as well, I hear. But the one that won the blind challenge earlier this year was one of their inaugural releases, which was Purple Haze. Just a fantastic whiskey. Glad so many people enjoyed it. It was pricey. Super premium blend, £75. This one is cheaper. This was early 50s, I think, 50, 52, £53. So you're looking at it going, okay, it's 46%, but it's non-age stated. It's a blended Scotch whiskey. Why should I pay £50 for that? You need to taste it first. Get a wee sample off a friend. Buy it, buy the dram, buy it in a pub, however you can get your hands on a wee spot of this. And try and come at it not from the perspective of, is this going to hold up to my malt whiskey experience? Come at it purely from a point of view is this £50 worth of whiskey? Nothing more. Given the amount of whiskies that you can pay £50 on that are fairly mediocre from Scotland and much, much further beyond, the answer can only be aye. If you want to know what the makeup of this is, the details on the website are fantastic. They don't go into the ages of each individual one. I think they've probably run into a wee bit of trouble on that in the past. I don't know. But you can find out exactly what's in the mix by going to their literature or their website for the 3 core ranges that they have out. These core ranges will not be the same all the time. It's based on the profile that they're going after. It's based on the stock that they have on hands, and it's based on how that stock matures and changes over time and how they make it up for each batch. I think they're going to stick with this Bittersweet Symphony, Smokin' Riff for the peaty one, and Paradise Funk for the other one. I think they're going to stick with those, but it will be annual or let's say batch releases. So I would like to see something a wee bit more obvious on the packaging to keep us in track, to keep us informed of which batch it is. But there we go, we're into May already. We have our second blend that we're going to talk about tonight. And I think 2023 was not the year of the blend, but it was a year in which blends progressed significantly, despite it being one of my predictions that it could be the year of the blend. Certainly blends marched forward quite a way. Jimmy Legacy and Anok 12 and Craigellachie 13 beautifully fill the space that many say that blends need to fill. I think you're right, Jimmy, but I wonder. Let's strip it. Let's be ridiculous about it. Whatever you love in Craigellachie and the 13-year-old, and whatever you love in Anok 12-year-old. Anok 12 is a 40% whiskey here. It might be 43 where you are. Craigellachie 13 is fully natural, 46% ABV. But let's look at what you like in those two whiskies. And let's imagine that you were to put them together. Play at home. I'm not suggesting that you're going to be guaranteed to make a product that's better. But you don't need to risk too much. And it does make you realize that mixing strengths is not the same as just mixing whiskies. It's a powerful thing. And if we like to chase flavor, I know we all like to sit with our malt whiskey, that singular experience from that singular distillery. Sometimes that singular expression, sometimes it gets really crazy. It's not just small batch, it's even a single cask. And I know we love that laser-focused analysis. But sometimes, in the hands of people who know what they're doing, you can have something like this, and you can only just be surprised. I don't need to spend any time, Jimmy, convincing anybody in here how good malt whiskey can be. They're already bought in. But I do need to, in the spirit of being promiscuous, being fickle, being adaptable, being open-minded, I do need to ask people to be aware of what's there with a B word on the label, blend. Sasha's in, just made it live tonight, InWhiskyVeritas, and took the opportunity to eventually join the Barflies. Sasha, thank you to you and everybody else that's supporting me through Patreon like you do. Sasha, thank you so, so much. And now in here, keeping the content ad-free by joining the Barflies too. Wonderful, wonderful to have your support. We're already breathlessly marching into May. Sorry, we've covered May. We're marching into June. I'm almost at the half year. I'm almost at the point where I'm going to announce what my producer of the year at the halfway point. I'll announce my whiskey of the year at the end. And we can get my guests in for a wee game, a visit a Speyside at the halfway point too. We're into June. I know if I didn't mention this producer tonight, I would get a hard time from you guys. But rather than me pick a core range from them, rather than me pick something that I maybe played around with the idea of it being a contender for Whiskey of the Year, I want to talk about how some producers have managed this really interesting balancing act of servicing a high volume, maybe mass market or larger market requirement or demand, but also developing things that can really bring out the geek and enthusiasts too. Can anyone guess who I'm talking about? I'm talking about Loch Lomond Distillery. Of course I am. The only distillery out there with 3 rock-solid, completely different core range 12-year-olds right at the heart of the core range. And all the way revolving around that, they've got their original, they've got their non-age statement, their supermarket focus stuff. They've got the Steam and Fire, a new one that's just come out. They've got their 14-year-old, they've got their 18-year-old, they've got almost a breathless amount of products coming out just with the Loch Lomond name on it. Of course, Inchmone for peated and Inchmurrin, they're more fruity style as well. The stuff that's coming out of Loch Lomond continues to march up the ramp of improvement. But I want to just accept that that's the case. We know that more and more people are talking about and celebrating Loch Lomond. Dramface's review that goes out tomorrow, a nice review from Brodie, focusing on their 14-year-old. Pick that up if you can. Just go in and just for a £55 whiskey. It's incredible that we can have that today. 46% ABV as well, non-chill filtered. We're still suspicious there's a wee dot of colour in it. I think that's the problem with the Loch Lomond core range. But let's shift things to what they're doing for the geeks, for the enthusiasts. We're into 4 distillery editions now. You can get single casks from Loch Lomond, you can get travel retail, there's lots and lots of stuff coming out from them. But these distillery exclusives, they don't have a visitor centre, so it's all sold online. The first one was a 9-year-old yeast, I'm going to have to try and remember this, 9-year-old wine yeast expression. Very close to my release from 2022, my InWhiskyVeritas release. Very close to it. In fact, I think that's the one I've picked to show you as an example tonight. Let's get a wee drip of it in the glass. Then it was, I believe, a 5-year-old single blend. I know that you're not allowed to call it a single blend, but that's essentially what it was. And then it was, I don't remember now, I'm running out. There was a 10-year-old extra long fermentation, was Distillery Edition 3. And I think the new one is a 7-year-old super fruity one. I think I've got that in the right order. These are very small outturn. I don't think there's been an outturn bigger than about 500 bottles. But they hang around for quite a while. This is still the great unknown. People don't know about these releases yet. It might be that they are throttled a little bit by the shipping limitations. They can't ship everywhere. Brexit has put paid to go into Europe. Maybe it's difficult for them to ship to the States or whatever, I understand. But this is a glimpse of what this producer has been producing for a long time now, and the stocks that are available there for us in the future. This is what the way I look at this is their toe in the water releases for everyone to get a little taste of what the future might hold. Just it's more floral tonight than I've had in the past. Super fruity whiskey, super fruity. This is like a potpourri of fruit and flowers. This is the Chardonnay wine yeast release. 9 years ex-bourbon, I believe. Very small outturn, 265 bottles. There really wasn't much of this at all. I bought more than one. Cask number 119, bottle 2020. Now, it was around for a long time. This didn't come on sale until I think 2022, this one. This was distillery edition number 1. Cheers, everyone. Very reminiscent of the release I did in 2022. It's the fizz. The palate always is going to surprise you on this. You nose it and you think you know what it's going to deliver, and you take a wee sip of it and it's just fizzy, bright fruit, lemon, sherbet, lemon bonbons, a little bit of ice and sugar tonight, a little bit of Turkish delight tonight, again fitting with that floral edge, I think. Incredible whiskey, an incredibly good value as well. The latest one that came out, the 7-year-old, was a £45 bottle, and it's super, super limited. I don't know if it's still available for sale. None of what I'm doing tonight is intended to sell whiskey. It's intended to celebrate whiskey. The whiskey I'm sipping from the glass right now is long, long sold out. It's about revelations in 2023. It's about the progress of those revelations, and it's about looking forward to the future, what they actually mean to us. Jimmy Legg has bought me a dram to say, it'll always be that you tug me towards being a reasonable adult. That's quite a weight on someone's shoulders, Jimmy Legg. Never doubt that I appreciate your efforts, as I'm sure you know I'll always struggle against it. We don't need to win. It doesn't need to move to one extreme. We can always just balance it out and keep each other in the middle. Jimmy, what do you think about that? Hey, thank you for your drama, friend. Wonderful highlight of 2023, hanging out with you. Cheers, Jimmy Legg. Alastair Gray celebrating being a member of the Barflies for 46 months. Loch Lomond Distillery editions have been superb. So good to hear you're enjoying them too, Alastair. And Aaron Carsten is saying, my whiskey of the year was a 15-year-old Inch Fad. Inch Fad is another Loch Lomond. It's a trade name for Loch Lomond. By Dramore, Amontillado sherry finished. I seem to really love pretty much everything they're creating, and I can't thank Michael Henry enough. Do you know what's crazy about the Michael Henry thing? He's everywhere. There are 5 Michael Henrys, aren't there? He's popping up on a podcast. He's responding to questions for an interview piece. He's on social media. He's even occasionally in the vPub. There must be a lot of Michael Henrys about. His productivity, his ability to keep bringing these interesting things, improve the quality of the existing legacy things, and to still maintain communication with an engaged audience is only a very positive thing. I think so many people could learn from that. Might we see another Aquavitae Loch Lomond bottling next, Troy? Graham, the future of that, I never push for it, I never force it. It's always going to be one of these almost lazy things. Let a bit of serendipity play a hand. But you, Jimmy Legg, a few other people know about a very, very specific bottling that I am keen to pursue in the future, whether that's 2024 or beyond, I'm really not sure. But watch this space. Papa Q is saying Loch Lomond 2021 Open Edition has a lovely fizzy grapefruit finish too. Thank you, Michael Henry. Papa Q, grapefruit is one of the most consistent things I pick out from Loch Lomond releases. Grapefruit, grapefruit, grapefruit. Interestingly, I didn't get it tonight. Because you're looking for it, you'll find it. There's whiskey in 6 of my glasses. That's so good. That's so good. There's whiskey in 6 of my glasses tonight. We must have already brought ourselves up to June with 6 bottles of whiskey. Well, enough messing about. It's time that I reveal one of my of the year categories tonight. I'm going to start with producer of the year. It doesn't matter what I put forward as my producer of the year. The reactions are always going to be mixed. Whiskey of the year, the same. Same for anyone's whiskey of the year. Same for anyone's favourite anything, number one of a list of 5 or 10 or the OSWAs or whatever it is. People are always going to go, oh, really? Or they're going to go, yes. Or they're just going to be annoyed. And yet, it's expected. You're looking for me to nominate something, to celebrate something. And you know what makes me continue doing it? Because of the effort you need to go through in order to pick one and one only. The whole vPub tonight is me using some of my potential Whiskey of the Year nominations, the ones I've shared with you so far, the Indri, the Speyburn 15, Ardbeg's 10-year-old, not the last 2 or 3 that I've shared with you, Maclean's Nose, Turntable, and Loch Lomond. But 3 out of the 6 I've shared with you were in that potential pile for Whiskey of the Year. But I don't get to choose lots of them. I have to choose one. And the effort that you have to go to choose one whiskey or one producer really puts you through chewing and thinking a lot of things. You need to process so much. Producer of the Year, for me, is arguably a bigger deal than picking one bottle. Producer of the Year has so much more involved. There's a bigger brand behind it. There's a company behind it. There's a whole team of people. Whether you go to visit the distillery, whether you buy all the expressions that come out from that distillery, or just 1 or 2, or what, it's the Producer of the Year is a much more laden thing, I think. But I still need to do it. I started it, so I'll continue. Danny Keenan's bought me a dram to say, we'll catch the rest on replay, Roy. Cheers to you and this wonderful community. Thank you to you, Danny Keenan, as well. Managed to meet you in 2023 too, Danny. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for buying me a dram. Thank you for your support. Thank you especially for picking up in the replay, Danny. Cheers to you. Donna Pass Whiskey also bought me a dram, saying cheers, Roy and everyone. At work and we'll watch later. Tim, I hope you're not working too hard, my friend. Thank you very much for the dram. Thanks for dropping by and saying hello. And aye. I'll see you in the replay, my friend. Cheers, Tim. I have picked my Producer of the Year in 2023 based on, let's say based on, let's say in spite of the fact that loads of people cannot buy it. Loads of people cannot buy it. You can start to guess as I speak what my Producer of the Year is, but it's been tough to get a hold of it at times. And yet, the thing that finally made it obvious that this had to be my Producer of the Year, I have more bottles of this on the shelf than any other single distillery in my entire collection. I have 24 bottles of this on the shelf. So how hard can it actually be to get a hold of? How difficult can it be if I've got that much? Now, admittedly, it's accumulated over 3 or 4 years. This is arguably also the whiskey that launched this channel. The dram I was drinking before I made my first ever video live back in 2017 was this dram. And ever since then, I've built up a relationship with it. And I absolutely adore it today. It has been my Producer of the Year in the past, which discounts it from being my Producer of the Year in 2023. If I'm being silly, of course it deserves to be again. Aaron has been my producer of the year in the past, and it was my producer of the year in 2022 again. This distillery deserves it, because all of those 24 bottles that I have picked up over the years, and there's been many more rinsed and thrown away, probably appeared in a recycled review, have been delicious, integrity, flavour forward, high quality, and above everything else, very well priced malt whiskies. For some of us out there, for some of us, it's hard to get a hold of, but I say to you, you've just heard me talking about how I'm not trying to sell whiskey. So should it matter that it's harder to get hold of? We can talk about it. But my producer of the year for 2023, for all of the reasons I've stated, is from Campbelltown. A grain of malt. James, you've hit the nail on the head. It's Glengyle Distillery, Kilchoman. Fantastic stuff. I don't care if you're looking at the heavily peated, don't care if you're looking at the 12-year-old, the 16-year-old, I don't care if you're looking at the 8-year-old cask strengths that they release, this occasional unicorn single casks and everything else. Everything is delicious. And I think that even somebody who doesn't connect with it the way I do, they would have a hard time saying, no, it isn't. They really would have a hard time. It's wonderful stuff. It really is. So I can't even pour one yet because I'm running out of glasses here. Let's raise a glass of anything to everybody down in Campbelltown, to everybody behind the scenes at Glengyle, for everybody that puts Kilchoman into the bottle and brings it to us in such a fabulous way, and say, well done, Glengyle Distillery. Just fantastic stuff. A wee bit more, please. Glen Duncan is saying, Aquaviti, buy yourself a great anything from Sharon and I. Happy New Year. Glen, your shirts are still underway. Don't worry about it. I have not forgotten about them, my friend. Been into the Bon Accord over Christmas. Alastair McPhail saying, Kilchoman is Fab Aquaviti. I have no problem getting it in London. Fantastic. Molasses saying, as a Kilchoman fanboy, you'll get no disagreement from me. Wonderful. Ryan Sutherland, quite possibly my favourite. Beautiful spirit. Fantastic to see the consensus. Thanks, Ryan. Pete Head is saying, and with you having 24 bottles, we know why it sometimes is hard to find. Interestingly, there's only one bottle you could suggest I'm hoarding. And interestingly, it's the 12-year-old. The only one that I've got multiple bottles of. And by that, I mean a sealed bottle behind it. No, that's not true, because I'm looking at two bottles. Is the 12-year-old, and there's a sealed bottle of the 16-year-old up there. Mirko Blogovic is saying, fantastic choice, Roy. Bud Jenkins is saying, every bottle I've gotten has been a treat. Kilchoman deserves recognition. Thank you, Bud. Thank you, Mirko. Cesare is saying, Glengyle Kilchoman 12 or 16 is cracking stuff. Fantastic, Cesare. Good to have you in. Your Uncle Vanya is here as well. I just jumped there. Sorry, Vanya. I noticed that you were out in Edinburgh today with the crew. So good to see you there. Well, 26 Kilchomans. That's a big selection. 24 Kilchomans, and there's very few duplicates there too. It's been an accumulation over a while. Laura Alex is in saying, I've found the newest bottle in the Kilchoman 12 to be way more spicy than usual. Don't know if I've opened the most recent one. And Graham Young is saying, only if we could get an open day bottle from 2023. That was my whiskey of the year. I didn't even get to try that one, Graham. But Sevi might have helped me out with that. Jimmy Legg is saying 12 weeks of production produces the best whiskey in the world, Aquaviti. That says more than anything else. I know. It's the way they do it at Springbank. It's just the way that it is. Brian Engel is saying, all belters, Kilchomans. Graham Fraser is saying, it was great to see the amazing Glengyle Distillery production in October. Well deserved. And Gene Kelly is saying, I'm forced to ration my consumption of Kilchoman due to lack of access. Stick with me here, Gene. Towards the end of tonight, towards the end of this vPub, I'm going to talk to you about that and access. Daisy is in. Daisy, so good to see you. Evening, Roy and Barfly is just home pouring a dram. Get comfy, get your feet up, Daisy, and hang about for a wee bit of, is it a Speyside action? The distillery of the year's out the way. It's time to gamify things a wee bit. How are we doing for time? We're doing okay. Let's leave it at that. We're doing okay. I've got guests hanging about in the background. And of course, what we're going to do due to popular demand or down to pure bullying from all of you, I'm not sure. But what we're going to do is I'll take this out the bag here because I realise that I haven't got my own one to show you around. I'll take the clear plastic paper off the back of this wee coin. This cannot be purchased. This was a coin that could only be won by stepping up to play a game live on the vPub to earn yourself a sniper coin. I'm going to try and get my big face out the shot in the hope that this camera might think about focusing. It doesn't want to, but you can see it enough. It says, is it a Speyside sniper on the coin? We used to play it quite regularly, but things have gotten really quite complex since we started playing this game. There's a lot more core range releases out there, so it's harder to play that game of sniper, right? You had 10 questions in order to whittle it down to a very, very specific bottle of whiskey. It had to be Scotch malt whiskey. It had to be a core range bottling that was widely available and recognised. And based on that, we would play this game of Is It a Speyside? It seemed to go down really well. It was loved by everyone, and people keep asking me. There are still people out there waiting for coins. Helen's in tonight. She'll probably scold me at some point. I have enough coins to service all of you now. So if you're owed a sniper coin from the time when they all ran out from previous, please get in touch. But I think Helen has done a great job of making sure that you're listed and recorded already. It's down to me. I'm delinquent sending them out to you, but they are there. But there's a few spare, and we're going to be playing for 2 or 3 of them tonight. So the people that put their names forward, like I say, I had them randomly selected, and they've stepped forward tonight. Let's reach out to the first one, hoping that my pal Oliver down south is ready to come in and play a wee game of Is It a Speyside? Are you ready, Oliver, my friend? Oh, now you're muted. Try one more time.
My fault. I didn't want to disturb you with all the windows rattling here, so I turned it off. But I'm ready now. Thank you.
Don't worry about it, Oliver. We're suffering the same weather together, my friend. You're only a couple of 100 miles south of me, right? You're down in just outside Manchester, my friend.
That's right, under the same rain clouds, I think.
Yeah. How are you doing? You look comfy there. Settle down in your
I'm very comfy. My typical Thursday night spot with a dram by my right and Roy on my left.
Now, we know you as, I know you as Oliver now, but in the chat you would be InWhiskyVeritas, right? Is that an Instagram account?
It is, I'm afraid. Good. Another one.
Good. So you would describe yourself as a whiskey enthusiast, Oliver?
Yeah, I am. I inherited the bug from my dad sort of 10, 12 years ago when he stopped drinking and passed me some nice bottles. So since then I've been experimenting.
I can see you've got a few nice bottles over your shoulder there, and I can see one of them is a black and white Kilchoman as well.
Yeah, there are a few of those in there. I can commend you on your choice.
Excellent. Stick with it and see how we got on for Whiskey of the Year at the end as well, buddy. We've just had a drama. I don't want to miss these, Oliver. Sorry, from Benny Fries, my pal. Benny Fries in Denmark saying, new camera that will focus funding started. Is it doing its thing again? Hopefully it's focusing on me now. I think I just need to ditch and upgrade the camera. Maybe that'll be a thing for 2024, Benny. But I don't take these decisions lightly because they're expensive. Justin Wan is suggesting 2, Is It a Speyside? And your troubles for making it happen again, Roy. Not too much troubles tonight, Justin. Thank you very, very much for your dram. Thanks to Benny Fries as well. And a dram just dropped in from Peter Kelly. Good to see you, Peter. He's saying, hi, Roy. Happy Christmas, New Year. Thanks again for getting the coins to me in Ireland. It was a long process, but finally got there. Shows your dedication to the barflies. That was sent back to me. Those coins were sent back 3 times. And you're in the Republic of Ireland, Peter. Eventually, we got them to you through our pal, Derek McGrainer, right? I'm so glad that you got them in the end. The Mule Network came to the fore again. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Justin. And thank you, Benny. Cheers. Right, Oliver, do you know what you're in for tonight? Do you know what we're playing here?
I have seen it a few times, but a long time ago. So we'll try and jog my memory. But yep, I'm ready for you.
Well, what I'm going to do is, oh, I clicked on the wrong button there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring something in here. I'm going to try and make it work locally. So while we do that, I'll ask you. I mean, it seems you've maybe been around under a different name, but I thought you were a more recent name. So you've seen that Is It a Speyside play out in the past. We're a wee bit rusty here, buddy, so we need to help each other out. What's going to happen is that I'm going to give you a countdown of 10 questions that you can ask me, or 10 questions that I have to ask you. If I'm asking you, you're the target and I'm the sniper, vice versa. I'm the target, you're the sniper. The choice is absolutely yours. I've got a couple of core range bottles off to my left-hand side that are valid for this game, okay? So it's down to you how you want to play it. At each question, you can choose to guess, or you can continue asking the questions in order to whittle it down until a point that you're comfortable. Even when you're down to the zero, when you're down to the last question, the donut at the end, you can still make a guess at that point, okay? When you've used up everything, you can still make a guess. Okay. In order to win the coin, you have to pick what the core range bottle is, or I have to pick what the core range bottle is that you have. If I don't manage that, you win too. Does that make sense?
I understand, yeah.
It's been a while since I've read out those rules, so let's bring this countdown up so we can play along together, my friend. I wonder if it would be better. No, we'll just make it run that way. Okay, my friend. Do you want to be the sniper or the target?
I think I will be the target. You can guess my bottle, please, Roy.
Oh dear, I am so rusty. Pen at the ready. You have a bottle of core range single malt Scotch whisky just out of sight, Oliver, and I'm going to ask 10 questions to try and work out what that is. Okay. Let's start with the most obvious one, buddy. Is it a Speyside?
It is not a Speyside.
Is it a Highland distillery?
It is not a Highland distillery.
Oh dear. Is it an Islay distillery?
It is not an Islay distillery.
Okay, is it Scotch whisky, Oliver? It's not a question. It's the part of the game. It's definitely Scotch, right?
Definitely Scotch.
Is it a Lowland whisky?
Correct.
Okay, so what you've done here is you've gone into the biggest explosion of new whiskies, of new distilleries that's come along to try and catch me out here. There's lots of new Lowland distilleries. This is going to be really tough now. Is it located in Fife, Oliver?
That is a good catch-up guess. It is located in Fife.
Okay. So we've got Daffmill. We've got Lindors.
Yes.
Huh. We get Kingsbarns. I don't know how to parse these out. Let's just go. Core range. Lindors has the one with Roman numerals. Kingsbarns has a few now. They've got Benromach, they've got Ducat, they've got Dream to Dram. Daffmill obviously have their winter and summer release. Is it, Oliver, Kingsbarns?
No, not Kingsbarns.
Is it Lindors?
It is Lindors.
So I'm just going to suggest to you then, I know that they've got the Friar John Cork cast strength, but I'm just going to ask, is it the Roman numerals, the M, whatever it is?
Nope, not that one.
Is it cast strength?
It is cask strength.
Is it the Friar John Corr?
Anything else? Yeah, that's close enough.
Fantastic. What is the actual name of it?
It's Friar John Corr, Cask Strength Congregation, Batch Chapter 2. Give it its full name. But congratulations, well done.
You have to forgive me. I don't need to get the exact batch.
No, I know.
Right. So, I tell you what I'm going to do for you, Oliver, because of the time of year, because of the rules that we used to have. If you're brave enough to step forward and play the game, you still win yourself a wee sniper coin. Can it be purchased? I wish I could put it into your hand with a handshake, but I'll put it in a wee jiffy bag and I'll send it down over through the post.
That's
you
very
need to send me your address, buddy. But well done. I had a suspicion somebody was going to bring one of the new whiskies.
Well, it's fashionable these days, isn't it?
It is very, very fashionable. Listen, I don't know if you're on a curfew or anything. Do you feel like staying till the quiz at the end?
Absolutely.
Hey, Oliver, thanks for being a good sport, buddy. Thank you very, very much. Cheers.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Lindors, the Friar John Corr one as well. My goodness. Oliver, you cheeky bugger. Listen, Oliver's in Skipton. And if you fancy visiting him, drop into, he didn't ask for this plug, I made a note of it. Billy Bob's Parlour. It's an American diner in Skipton, and that's where you'll find Oliver. That's his business, as it works out. Next time I'm through Skipton, I'm maybe going to drop in for a tasty burger and a refreshing drink. Next up, we've got another participant tonight to play a wee game of Visit Speyside. Like I say, I managed to pick two names, and these are the two names that, or there was quite a few names put forward. These are the two names that Siri picked out. But I'm going to head over to the States now. I'm going to head over to St. Louis, Missouri, and I'm going to bring in Rob Smith from the lounge. Here we are, Rob.
Cheers.
Welcome behind the bar at the vPub, my friend. Welcome. It's nice to have you. We've just had new distilleries. We've had a relatively new name in Oliver and InWhiskyVeritas, been only around a year or two in that, guys. But you, I think, has been around a year or two too, Rob, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's brilliant to have you, my friend. It's brilliant to welcome you here. Did I get, is it St. Louis or St. Louis? St. Louis, right?
St. Louis. A lot of people call it St. Louis.
Okay.
Either works.
But you're a local, so I'll go with your lead, St. Louis, okay? I know that some names can be political statements, so I'm always mindful of that, but let's go with St. Louis. What have you got in the glass? What are you dramming right now?
It's Bladnock Leora.
Oh, I shouldn't have asked in case you're sipping.
That's not it.
Okay. Well, that answers one of the questions that I'm going to ask you tonight, Rob, over in Missouri. If you're going to be the target or if you're going to be the sniper.
I think I'll be the target.
Okay. So I'm guessing again, buddy. I'm guessing again. Good stuff. Obviously, I don't need to run through the rules. We've just done all of that, buddy, haven't we? We've worked through it all. You're comfortable. You have off to the side a bottle of single malt core range Scotch whiskey that's widely recognised and available, don't you?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
In that case, we shall begin. I'm going to bring in this countdown again so we can start from the top. I've got 10 questions to try and work out. I think Rob's got a sneaky expression on his face here. I don't know what I'm up against here. Let's give it a go, okay? I'll start a wee bit differently from the way that we did it first time. I'm going to ask you, Rob, is it a Campbelltown?
Yes, it is.
Oh!
Wow.
I've forgotten how much I enjoy this game. Okay, it's a Campbelltown. Okay, we've got 3 distilleries active in Campbelltown. We've got Springbank, we've got Glengyle, my producer of the year, and we've got Glen Scotia. Is it from Glengyle Distillery, Rob?
No, it is not.
I'm just going to go with it. Is it from Glen Scotia?
It is.
Okay. Is the ABV 46% or lower?
It is.
Oh. Is it age stated?
It is.
Is it a Glen Scotia 10-year-old at 40%?
No.
Is it 46? It could still be 46. Is it Glen Scotia? It would be terrible if I did not get this after getting Campbelltown right out the traps. I should be narrowing it down instead of scattergunning. Is it 18 years or older?
Yes.
Is it Glen Scotia 18?
It is.
I got there. I strung it out longer than I should have. Wow, Glen Scotia 18. What a nice dram to be sipping. What a nice dram to be sipping tonight, Rob. Fantastic. Listen, I thought I panicked. I started to get a bit, the heart was racing a wee bit there. You can't get Campbelltown and then burn through all of those questions and not feel like you're anywhere closer. So after starting out strong, I managed to draw it in the end. Glen Scotia 18. Rob, are you enjoying that Glen Scotia 18?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Good.
yeah. Probably, yeah, half.
I think it's about £120 in the UK now.
Half gone.
It went a bit expensive for a while, but other things have kind of caught it up again now. It doesn't seem quite as extreme as a lot of things. Going to be interesting to see what happens next year. I don't have the Glen Scotia 18 on my shelf. It was always just a wee bit out of reach, but I have to admit it's something I do enjoy my time with. However, I did beat you, and I'm very grateful that I did beat you. I think the first question, just as at a Campbelltown, is what we would call a snipe, right? Or close to a snipe. But the fact that you've stepped forward to participate, Rob, means that you pick up a sniper coin. Buddy, I'll get your address off you by email if I don't already have it, and I'll be happy to send this across to you with my gratitude for stepping forward. But Rob, like yourself and Oliver, I want to say thanks not only for stepping forward and being brave tonight, but I want to say thanks for being a patron, for being a supporter, for being part of the Barflies, vocal and supportive in the chat as well. Rob Smith, thank you very, very much for stepping forward. Sláinte, my friend.
100.
Are you going to be able to stay till the quiz at the end?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. What I'll ask then, if you are planning to stay for the quiz at the end, is that you make out some wee ABC letters on a piece of paper, because there's going to be a few of us in at the end.
And I'm already.
You're already well prepared. The Missouri man knows the script. Fantastic. Rob, thank you so much, and see you very, very soon. I have a confession to make. Because I didn't get an immediate response back from Rob and Oliver, I thought maybe I needed to have a reserve. So I had Siri pick a reserve. Here's a guy that's been on the end of the vPub retrospective session before. He's in here tonight as a reserve, but I think we're going okay on time. So I'm going to suggest that we just reach out to him and get him in to play a wee quick game. My pal, Alastair McPhail, I'm going to say at this point, this is not the last game I visit a Speyside tonight, and I'm excited about that. Watch this space. Alastair, I hope you're good to come in, my friend. There you are.
Hi. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you perfectly, sir, and you're in the uniform as well. Wonderful to have you, Alastair.
There you go. I'm branded.
I was going through, this is one of the weird things, when you're going through all the events and everything that happened in 2023, one of the things that I had to make note of, and this doesn't make sense, but I think I'll verify it with you now. The first time we actually met and shook hands, hugged and shared a dram together was 2023.
It was.
That's crazy.
It is.
It feels like you've been about forever. It feels like...
Well, no, you have, but
I've been about forever. But it's strange, the familiarity, right? Now, of course, I've seen you 3 times this year. I've been spoiled with my Alastair McPhail dosage, right? That first meeting, then you were over here
August,
for Legfest,
I
and then you
came
were
up
here
from
for the
work.
Glasgow Festival.
That's
So
right.
all
Yeah,
the
I came
bright
up
highlight.
for work in August, then Legfest, which was just epic,
Yeah,
and then the Glasgow Whisky Festival, which was also pretty good.
I would argue pretty epic too.
Yeah.
The only bright highlight, I think,
God, I
from
look like Jabba
2023
the
that
Hutt.
you. Sorry.
I was saying I look like Jabba the Hutt.
It's the perspective of the camera. It's the perspective. Don't worry about it. The only bright highlight of 2023 that perhaps you weren't involved in then is Limburg.Maybe we need to fix that in future years, Alastair.
I've just
Anyway,
been corresponding with Luna Aaron about Limburg.
and
Well, you made it sound like it was crowded in a scrum. It doesn't sound very.
Saturday
attractive.
is too busy. It's too busy.
Yeah.
But there's space. There's space where you can take yourself out of it until until it dies down a bit. There's bleachers and things that you can go and take a seat at. I don't know if it'll be as busy. I mean, when we were there in 2021, it didn't feel like that. 2022, it didn't feel like that. 2023, it felt just crammed on a Saturday. Sunday was a much easier day, a much easier to breathe day as well. Listen, don't let me put you off by saying that, okay? If it's something that you want to attend, I'd really do recommend it. Darren Scorsa has just come in with a wee sticker and bought us a wee dram for $4 US dollars as well. So Darren, you must be in the States, my friend. I think it's the first time I've welcomed you in, and it's the first time maybe I've read out your name. Darren, thank you very much for the dram. All right, Alastair, you know the drill. You've played this before.
I have.
Thank you for going in reserve. What happened last time we played it?
I lost.
Were you the target or the sniper last time?
I was the target. I had the Glen Glassaw Evolution, and for some reason, out of all the Glen Glassaw releases at the time, on your only guess on right at the end, you got it. You didn't go anywhere near the others. You just went straight for Glen Glassaw Evolution.
Hey, it's pure fortune, pure luck. Let's see if the luck stays with us tonight. Alastair, are you going to be the target or the sniper tonight?
I think I'll be the target.
Okay, no problem.
Although I've got 8 bottles in front of me.
Well, you need to pick. You need to pick one because you can't change your mind halfway through.
I've got one. It wasn't the one I started with today, but it's the one I'm finishing with.
Perfect. Whatever it is, it's locked in. It's a core range Scotch malt release, widely available and recognised. Brilliant. With that understood, we'll kick it off again, resetting it to 10. Let's wish us both a wee bit of fortune for this one, Alastair McPhail.
Aye.
Okay, I'll just start out with, is it a Highland?
It is.
Ooh. Well, remember the trick we used to use? Some people say that Dalwhinnie's a Speyside distillery. I know, but the Highlands is spread all over and it wraps around Speyside. So let's pick Dalwhinnie as the centre point on our map.
Ooh. Okay.
Is it north of Dalwhinnie?
I don't think it is. I'd need to check, but I don't think it is.
You don't think it is? Is it an island?
No.
Okay, so he doesn't think it's north. He's a wee bit sure. He's a wee bit ambiguous. Is it a west?
Hey, I'm not trying to steer you wrong, Roy. It's just I forgot to check Dalwhinnie. That's all.
Right. Have you got your malt whiskey yearbook handy, Alastair? Because I know you have a copy.
Yeah.
Right. Look at the map that's right at the back, almost at the index.
All right.
Take a moment, find your distillery. On the right hand 3 columns, it's by number, and on the left hand, it's by alphabetical. So the left hand 3 columns, find it by alphabetical.
Hang on. Right.
And I can tell you that distillery number 29 is Dalwhinnie. Right in the middle of the map.
It's south.
Okay, good. So it's south. I say good, but is it good? Okay. Is it, Alastair, is it Edredeur.
No.
Oh.
No, I finished that last week.
See, I'm wondering if you've led me here. Okay. Is it Blair Athol?
No.
Silly, Roy. Very silly. Could be East. Is it an Eastern Highland, Alastair?
It is. You've narrowed it down nicely.
Not enough. Not enough. Is it Glencadam?
No. But there is a Glencadam on the table.
Is it Fettercairn?
It is.
I've got 3 guesses left to get this, knowing it's a Fettercairn. Some Fettercairns are vintage, some are age statement. ABV's a big thing with Fettercairn. Is it, Alastair? Is it age stated as opposed to vintage?
It is.
Is it Fettercairn 16? Oh, you beauty. And I can tell by the colour it's the good one as well.
It is the good one. We both tried the rubbish one before.
We both tried the rubbish one before.
Yeah, the one that, if you remember, there was a Fettercairn 16 that just didn't work. It was flat, and it was
flat, flat, linear, emulsified out its bottle. Absolutely.
So you got me again.
Got you again, sir. I got you again, but you picked a sneaky one. You almost threw me there with a.
That wasn't sneaky.
Yes. Yes. Good stuff. Good stuff. Remember, it got so bad that I remember now I was starting to get handicapped. I had to start off with 9, then 8 in the end. But we made it in the end. Alastair, thank you so much. Where are you in the world right now? Are you in the UK?
I am in London. I'm here for a whole 2 weeks. I don't go abroad again until a week on Monday. I'm off to Morocco and then Cameroon.
Well, Morocco and then Cameroon, of course. I was saying to the guys that were in earlier that you're probably going to be either in or heading to Africa somewhere. That means...
Yeah, I was in Egypt a couple of weeks ago, yeah.
Terrific. That means a couple of things to me. That means that you're home and you're settled and you're in the UK and you're on our time zone. And the other thing, it means that I've got a good chance of bullying you to stay into the quiz at the end.
You've never had to bully me to stay in the quiz. So...
Get your wee letters ready. Get your wee letters ready.
I've got them here.
Alastair McPhail, thank you for stepping forward once more. This sniper coin...
Always a pleasure.
This one's yours, Alastair. I know you've probably got one already, but there's another one on.
But thanks very much. I look forward to having another.
Wonderful stuff. See you for the quiz at the end, my friend. Hang about.
Nice to see you, my mate. Take care.
Cheers. We're a bit rusty. We've got to remember how to play the thing again, but I've done okay so far. However, I'm about to have to up the ante. I'm about to have to face my nemesis. I'm going to have to face the one that broke this game. This player won this game so many times, whether he was on challenging me or accepting a challenge from me on the vPub, or whether he was sitting in the lounge playing along in the crowd. I forget how many sniper coins this guy won. But in the end, we gave up calling him his real name and just ended up calling him the Sniper King. There's no way that we could play a game of Is It a Speyside without having this guy back Of course, I'm talking about Kresimir, the Sniper King himself. Hello, my friend.
Evening, Roy. Evening, Barflies.
I know you've been on a gin tasting tonight. I know that Vlaho has been treating you to some fantastic stuff. How do I know that your pal Vlaho is part? Well, one of my highlights of 2023, Kresimir was hanging out with the Sniper King and his pals in Glasgow in 2023, and what a night that we had. It was wonderful.
Amazing night.
Amazing. And I know that you had a brilliant trip and a wonderful trip around Scotland, so much so that I hope that it's not going to be your last, my friend.
No, definitely not. This was our second time that we have been to the Scotland, and I mean, such a beautiful country. I cannot share the emotions that I'm going through, but just talking about it every single time to my friends, acquaintances. We're gonna be back. We're gonna be back definitely. Even more because I was so much involved in our whole trip, going through the distilleries, booking the hotels, booking the ferries, taxis, bus tickets.
Yes,
Everything was. I was the guy that was pushing this whole
you were the leader. Yeah,
trip. Yeah, the tour leader basically.
It was
I
worth
mean,
it, though, right?
Everything went smoothly except except the ferry, but we got the bonus and visiting the Campbelltown and Springbank.
But if the ferry had not led you down, you couldn't have got down to Campbelltown. Every single cloud has silver lining, and if it's a Campbelltown silver lining, it's a good cloud, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Amazing. I absolutely loved the energy. I loved you hanging out with your friends. We had such good fun. I hope that the next time that you make it along, you bring those boys back again, and I hope that I can sneak myself a seat at that table, my friend.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing the guys remember the most was when we were in the postels and we were all there saying goodbye to you, and I said that we are going to Bunaccord, and you said, "I'm going to Bunaccord. I'm going with you." And you're already prepared to talk that you had so much thing to do, to write about the dram phase, articles, children, family. We already said goodbye at the postels, but
I probably should have said goodbye, but I realised if I was going to give you directions, very complicated, straight ahead directions to the Bunaccord, I should probably just show you how to get there. And since I was showing you how to get there, I had a bottle behind the bar and I could probably pour you a dram of that as well. So that's how we played it in the end. I'd forgotten that. You're absolutely right. And a rainy Glasgow night as well. Let's ask about this game. Is it a sniper? You broke this game, didn't you? Is it a Speyside?
Yeah, 17 times.
17 times?
Yeah.
How many coins did I send to Croatia?
Around 10. Around 10. I think
because the remainder you were sending to other barflies in the lounge.
Yeah.
Incredible. I couldn't have a renaissance of Is It a Speyside and not have the Sniper King taking part. Thank you for stepping forward, my friend. Thank you. It's wonderful to have you. Are we ready to play a game tonight? A quick one for old time's sake? Come on.
Absolutely. But you're going for a 4 in a row.
I'm the sniper.
I'm gonna be the target. Yeah.
You're gonna be sneaky. Yeah. Okay. Let's do it, Kresimir. Let's do it. Good luck, my friend. Good luck.
Cheers.
Okay. Already I'm second guessing myself because I'm up against the Sniper King. So I just need to relax and go with my gut. Okay. Kresimir, you have a bottle of Scotch whiskey that's recognisable, core range, widely available, just out of sight, don't you?
Absolutely.
I'm going to ask you then, is that bottle a Speyside?
No.
Oh. Is it a Lowland?
Negative.
I'm sorry?
No. It's not a Lowland whiskey.
Is it a Highland?
No, it's not.
Is it an Islay?
Yes.
Is it a South Coast Islay, Lagavulin, Ardbeg, or Lefroy?
No.
Does it have an age statement?
Yes.
Is it higher than 46% ABV?
Yes.
Is it from Brookladdy?
No.
Is it from Bunnahabhain?
Yes.
Is it Bunnahabhain 12-year-old cast strength?
No.
What? Oh no, because of course Bunnahabhain is 46.3%.
You asked the wrong question.
So I am literally on to a 0. I asked the wrong question. I still have one guess, so there should be an emoji of a donut appearing, but obviously it's not rendering on this screen. So that's it. I'm on the 0 now. It's the last guess. So I'm now shooting blind. All of Bunnahabhain's products is higher than 46% ABV. It's Kresimir. It's a nightmare. This is a nightmare for me to get this now. It's very difficult. But you did say that it's age stated, right? I said there's an age statement.
Yes.
So we've got Bunnahabhain 12, we've got Bunnahabhain 18. Maybe we've got higher age statements, but let's stick to the 12 or 18. Other age stated Bunnahabhain, core range, no. This is Kresimir in Croatia. He's going to have Bunnahabhain 18.
You sneaky bastard.
I almost volleyed it out of the park. I almost killed it. I forgot about the 0.3% ABV. I thought I was being clever, but I pulled it back from the brink. 4 out of 4. My friend, I'll take it. I would offer you a sniper coin, but it's a
No,
bit...
you don't owe me anything. I have like 6 of them at home. So I gave 4
just
away.
Hanging around.
Yeah.
Just hanging around.
You can ask Siri if someone from the chat or something like that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, what we'll do then is I'll look and I'll say the first person to type Bunnahabhain 18. Maybe they've already said it. There's a lot of Bunnahabhains in there. Bunna 18, Snapper XV, Bunna 8, Rick Johnson, Peter Lee. Now, Peter Lee's deserving. Bud Jenkins, Orange Wool. My goodness. Bunnahabhain 18, Graham Fraser, Dogs of No Uncles, Colin. I'm going to need to keep winding back. But Whiskey Radar, so many people are saying it. Whiskey Radar, Roland, maybe. I'll do it in the after the show. We'll get on with it tonight. Kresimir, I know you've had a really busy night. No doubt you've had a busy year. It's up to you whether you want to stay for the quiz at the end.
No, I'm going to bounce.
You're already 2 hours ahead of me, buddy. And listen, you have made my night that you were able to step forward for this little thing. My friend, I can't wait to hang out with you and your boys again. It'll be a privilege. Thank you for stepping forward. And thank you for me having a wee shot.
Thank you for having us
at the Sniper King. Yeah. Slancheva, my friend. Thank you to all the boys as well. Good night, Kresimir. Wonderful stuff. A wee treat for everyone there. Now I need to motor on because we have slipped a wee bit over time. I'm supposed to be giving you July from somewhere in around 11:20 to 11:30, and it's now 11:40, so we're at least 10 minutes late. But that's okay, because I think I can pick up the pace a wee bit. I'm enjoying these drams tonight. None of the drams that I'm going to be sharing with you tonight are poor drams. Everything is very, very good. Let's go into summer. July 2023. I go on holiday. I take a break from whiskey. There's not a lot to talk about. in the midst of summer. But when I was on holiday this year, I chose not to buy global travel retail because it's expensive, it's often a bit diluted, it's very difficult to find the good stuff in global travel retail these days. There are some there, but it's not as interesting as it once was. So I decided to buy local, and I found myself buying local whiskies, Spanish whiskies, trying things by the dram, that kind of thing. And I spotted a whiskey that wasn't Spanish. I spotted a French whiskey, and I tried it. It was a non-age dated expression, and I thought, that's actually pretty good. The bar that I bought it from was surprised that I'd asked for it neat. They would normally be pouring this over ice or mixing it, but it was single malt whiskey from a French distillery. It was an Armorik whiskey. And I made a pledge that when I come home, I would find and buy myself a bottle of that French single malt. When I finally got around to doing it and I looked at what was available, I was quite shocked to find a selection of Armorik whiskies available in the UK. But one of them stood out. This is a 10-year-old expression from Armorik. 10 years old. Let's not stop there. Let's look to see how this thing is presented. It tells us 46% ABV on the label. Turn it round to the other side, and it tells us that it is not chill filtered and without added caramel to preserve its authenticity and aromas. What we're looking at here is a 4 out of 4 ABCD whiskey. A for age statement, 10 years old. B for bottling strength, 46% ABV. C for chill filtration, it tells us that it's not chill filtered. And D for dye, it tells us that it's not been dyed. It's natural colour. This is the future. I'm not suggesting that all of these world whiskies out there, bear in mind I'm pouring tiny amounts now, all of these world, they can never be Scotch whisky. They can never be. But I've got a fully natural French whisky with a 10-year age statement on it now for £54. £54. That's the same price as Springbank 10 in the UK, but this is coming from France. This is not Springbank. It can never be Scotch, it can never be Springbank. In fact, this somehow retains a different identity from Scotch. It is a Scotch alike, I'll be honest. It's made in the Scotch spirit and it's made in the Scotch style. It could potentially hide or masquerade as Scotch whisky, but for me, there is something just a wee bit different here. This is very oak forward, very oaky. Still oaky tonight, still very oak forward. Lots of first fill, lots of fresh casks here. Lots of sweet citrus, orange oil. Wee bit floral, not particularly malty. Ripe fruits, fudge, fudgy, sticky toffee pudding, that kind of thing. Caramel, lots of caramel. 10-year-old French whiskey. It's got good texture, it's full, it's thick, it's coating. You know, it's not simple, it's not all about the oak. The oak is there, it's very oak forward. It's very oak forward. Think caramel, think vanilla, think toffee syrup. But there is a spice that kicks through. It's light. It's a soft cinnamon, a soft ginger spice, and then it fades to a softness on the end. We could analyze this all night long. We could drink it and tear it apart and give it a score and all of these things. My point, the reason I'm holding this up, this was not in the running for my whiskey of the year. No, I don't even know this whiskey yet. Look, I'm not even beyond the shoulder on it yet. But I'm already impressed by this thing. And I'm a wee bit nervous that Scotch whisky is still pretending like it's the only track in the jukebox. I think that our biggest market, our biggest export market for Scotch whisky, once upon a time was France. It's no longer that. It's now India for various reasons. But one of the reasons I'm going to suggest to you is not because of the explosion in India or demand from India, might be a factor. It's because of how much domestic product, high quality domestic product, is now coming out of France. That should be worrying. I imagine that the Scotch whisky industry is very in tune with this, and they know exactly what's coming out of France. They know the quality, they know the price points, and they know how it's being presented. They know the messaging that's been written on the back. They know about the transparency that's coming there, and they know about these mature age statements, and they know that it's made in a very Scotch way. I'm sure they're aware of it. Luna Aaron is saying, how about Peter Lee? He would love such a coin. Like I say, he is absolutely deserving. I'll scroll back and I'll see whoever was the first to suggest Bunnahabhain. That's the way we always played. Is it a Speyside? Whiskey 101 is saying, we've not lost it, well done. You have not lost it, he's saying, well done. No excuse for not bringing this back in 2024. You might have a point. It might be good to bring it back from time to time. Will we go with that, Nick? Justin Wan, it's £54 according to Aquavitae. Lomond is telling Justin the price of it. Yeah, listen, I didn't check the price before I went live this week. When I purchased this a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks, a month ago, I don't even remember when I bought it. That's the price it was. I'm sure it wasn't an offer or anything. It was just the standard price. I talked so much, says Karsten, to friends about Armorik this year, trying to explain just how surprisingly good it really is. Wow. Greg's Whiskey Guide in Paris. Looking for your comments, Greg. He's saying it's the first historical French distillery and one of those in the produce it in the Scotch way with just a local touch style. That's a perfect way of describing it, Greg. But some new distilleries are doing this completely differently. Danny Hemmington is saying, are they listening though? He's talking about Scotch whisky industry. And they don't need to listen to me. They're doing their own work, aren't they? They're being aware. It's their business. It's in their hands. And when I say the Scotch industry, there's lots of people out there that are very, very aware. But it's the bigger players. It's the ones that's in charge of steering so much of the ship that everyone else rides in the wake of. That's what I'm nervous about. Greg's Whiskey Guide is saying there are some more impressive bottlings from new distilleries coming in. Stay tuned. I don't doubt it, Greg. And Mirko is saying, got a private tour at the distillery in Brittany by the owner last year. Hellswood is saying, Graham Fraser for the first 2, Dogs Have No Uncles for the 3rd, and Whiskey Radar for the 4th Aquavitae. Always on it, aren't you, Helen? Thank you to you. Cheers. That's all I want to do because there's more about this to talk about in 2024. But it's a real thing now. We're not talking about these young upstarts. We're talking about world whiskies with real power, real flavour, transparency, flavour forward, high quality, integrity, mature age statements. Times are changing faster than we care to entertain. If we move into August, we managed quite a mix of vPubs in 2023. I'll give you a bit of a rundown here. We had social solo sessions, a wee bit like tonight. We managed 23 of those, about half of the vPubs. I think we'll end up with 42 vPubs in 2023. Just over half of them is me. A guest session, we had 11 guests on. Community sessions, that's blind chat, let's get party atmosphere, get people on doing kind of Scotch versus the world, blind challenge, whatever it may be. We had 5 of those, and we had 2 live on location vPubs, one at Isla Rassie in April and one down in Campbelltown at Springbank in August. The guests that we had on, John Campbell, Scott Adamson from Tomatin, Chad and Sarah from Speyburn Night in the States. We had Leanne from A Scotch on the Bayou. We had Francis Cuthbert from Daffmill, David Sturck from Sturck Brothers, Ingvar Rond, the author of the Malt Whisky Yearbook. We had the author, partner of Campbelltown Whisky Co, Mark Watt, on just a couple of weeks ago. And we had most recently Connell Mackenzie as well. Fantastic guests throughout the year. It's been a real mixed bag, exactly what I want the vPub to be, not being just me on a soapbox every week, but getting guests and getting the community involved, finding ways to do on location, finding ways to have different takes and switch it up. I hope you don't mind me just following my whim there. What I did manage to achieve this year was only one what the industry drinks, I think, maybe two. Scott Adamson and Conor McKenzie, I think I managed two in the end. I also managed two of the Ignored series. One of my favourite things to do is to pick on those whiskies that I have been personally guilty of walking past. And in August, I did an Ignored vPub and rediscovered something that's been on my shelf, arguably a perma-shelf for a long time. I even ignored this whiskey on my own shelf. This was one of the closest contenders for stealing Whiskey of the Year from the eventual winner that I'll share with you later tonight. This is from the Eastern Highlands. It's 48% ABV. It has an age statement. It tells us that it's unchill filtered. Unfortunately, it doesn't talk about colour, and the consensus is that it is indeed coloured. Still, we have a good whiskey and almost my Whiskey of the Year for this year. Make It Natural, Beam Suntory. This is a fantastic product that you have here in your Glengarry 12-year-old. A really, really terrific thing. I'm going to try and make it focus, but you guys know what this thing looks like, right? Like I say, it does say unchill filtered on it, age stated up here. 48% ABV is a great... come back, there we go. I'm here. It's a great, great presentation, I believe. £50, £55. Round about the same price as that French whiskey I just showed you. Smells nothing like it. There's a depth, a darkness, a boldness, a robustness to this. There's a bit of iron rust, a bit of workshop, a bit of creosote, a bit of a hint of outdoor farm silage. Distant. The fruits are really kind of ripe, dark, jammy fruits like plum, soaked raisins. And because it's Glengarry, you're always looking for the smoke, but it's not there, not in this one. It's coming back though. Oh, excellent. Fully flavoured. Everything intact. Wonderful spice. It arrives so soft and fruity, and then there's a big spike of chili in the middle, and you get the 48% ABV makes it sit present stone, and bang. Fantastic. Fantastic. The investment that's happened at Glengarry, malting floors, direct firing of the wash still, going back to peated and partly peated distillate. Somebody else is in charge of things there at Glengarry, and that's the way that's exciting. It's the way it needs to be, not just for enthusiasts, but for the brand, for the legacy, for the future of this product, to lead with flavour. That's what's going to give it the energy and the life to endure. I'm excited about the future, but let's start celebrating it now. I am not kidding. There were days in the past few weeks that Glengarry 12 was my Whiskey of the Year. In the end, it was pipped. There's my July. A dram came in from Whiskey with Molly Ben. Thanks for smashing vPub on a Thursday night in 2023. Here's to many more in the coming years, and thanks for all your guidance and joy you bring to us all. Mon the Barflies. Ben, that's such a wonderful message to receive, and a fantastic wee dram. There's no need for it, my friend. But I love you, big guy. Thank you very, very much for dropping in at the end. Thank you for the dram. Thank you for support this year, and thank you for everything in the past. Whiskey with Molly Ben, cheers to you. Good one, big guy. Graham Fraser saying both Glen Duncan and I are huge Glengarry fanboys. OBs are great, but independent bottlers from Douglas Lane, Thompson Brothers and Adelphi are stunning. I know. We know what Glengarry can be. Ryan Sutherland, Aquavita, I have this as my Boxing Day party and educated a few of how great this stuff is. Great work going on there. It's only going to get better for the future, isn't it, Ryan? Glad you love it too. Hoyt is saying sounds a little like Iron Brew. Hope you're not talking about the Glengarry. And Alastair McPhail is saying, I love Glengarry 12. Fantastic, Alastair. You're in here tonight. We've just seen you and you're enjoying it as well. Terrific stuff. Rob Smith is saying, I just saw an independent bottling of Glengarry 13-year-old cast strength at my local shop. I can't believe I didn't buy it. Rob, if it's still there, it's yours. Stroll back on in and pick it up. I bet you enjoy your time with it. Okay, let's move into August now. And the only thing to talk about in August, sorry, I've covered Armorik was July, August was Glengarry, and I'm in September now. The only thing to talk about in September is the obvious thing. If I didn't talk about it, it would be, but it's not in contention of my whiskey of the year. I just want to be grateful that I had this opportunity to do this thing. I'm not selling anything here. I know you can't buy this. I know it was sold out, and I know some people didn't get it, but there was enough of this for everyone that really wanted to get it. They could have got it. Some of this actually went out to the public beyond the Aquavitae barflies. Not much, but some. We were allowed to buy 2 bottles of this if we wanted to, but this was the amazing project I got to do with Ardnavitaes this year. This was very, very risky. This was very out there. This was, I remember the discussion, please let me do this. And it wasn't an easy discussion to have. Why? I'm not going into active first fill casks. I'm going to refill casks that have previously been used. I'm not doing peated Ardnavitaes. I'm doing unpeated Ardnavitaes. I'm finding ways to strip things back and just focus on the spirit, and to focus on the idea that the thing that made these whiskies so ridiculously different was nothing else other than the cask that they had been matured in and the unknown provenance of the previous Scotch whisky that those casks, those hogsheads, had previously held. We're not talking about refill casks. We're talking about ex-Scotch whisky casks. I want to say thank you to everybody that made this possible. Ardnavitaes, for your willingness, your indulgence, for your craziness to let somebody like me rock up with an idea like this and for you to entertain it. For Royal Mail Whiskies for doing such a fantastic service, even in the face of ridiculously bad luck, a horrendous abuse of the handling of the packages by couriers, and Royal Mail Whiskies stepping up and making sure that everybody was satisfied to the very last bottle, including our friend Rob Smith that was in tonight and had to wait 2 months for his because of transit damage. But he got them in the end, and Royal Mail Whiskies made sure that everybody did. But I want to say thanks to all of you for recognising how special a project this was and getting on board with it. This was not an inexpensive bottle. These were expensive bottles of whiskey, but you knew what they were about. Thank you. I hope you love them. I hope you enjoy them. And as I said to my friends, my guests behind the scenes earlier tonight, the best way to sip these is any way you like. But if I had some leaning or some influence on it, sipping them in contrast. It remains one of my favourite things to do. These are my bottles. You can usually see the colour in them, but there's 1 dram left in both bottles. When I started out this channel back in 2017, that I could be getting together with one of the coolest brands in whiskey in 2023 to release my own casks would be unthinkable. The fact that I could get involved in making it into a project to make it even more interesting than just that, just crazy, absolutely crazy. Lots of drams coming in. Thank you so much, everyone. Fernando has bought me a dram to say I'm finally home for the rest of the vPub. I'm sorry to have missed you from the beginning. Cheers, Roy, and my dear barflies. Fernando, you're never late for a vPub, but it's wonderful to welcome you now. Thank you very much for your drama, friend. Cheers to you, Fernando. Missed the starting gun. It's not a message, that's the name. Clearly a new name. Would love to buy a dram, but is there a better means than this? I know YouTube skims quite a bit off the top. Missed the starting gun. I'll see you over on Patreon. Go to patreon.com. Patreon. I never put a link in the description. I'm always remiss there, but that's where everything works and happens for me. Head on over there and I'll welcome you there. I appreciate what you're saying, but we have to remember what YouTube actually gives us in return. If it was a software as a service subscription, it would be very expensive. But you're right. The way to support Aquavitae is through Patreon. In the meantime, thanks for your dram, Mr. Starting Gun. Cheers to you. First time I've welcomed you. And a fantastic dram in from Graham Young as well, saying cheers, Roy, and a healthy and prosperous 2024. My hope is for many barfly meetups with many new barflies. I think hugs and drams to be shared. Cheers to 2023 successes and 2024's promises. Lovely sentiment. Thank you so much, Graham. And Cesare saying, Roy and Aquavite, my best of 2023 is Ardnavitaes AD. Wow. That's the standard core range Ardnavitaes. I love the stuff too, Cesare. I really do. Cheers to you in Poland. Cheers to Graham Young. Cheers to Mr. Stanton Gun. And cheers to Fernando. But Jenkins saying, Aquavite, thank you for making such an interesting contrast available. These two bottles are spring and autumn, your perfect description. So many ways to talk about it. It's that bright, bright silver and that kind of burnt orange, that kind of vibrant, juicy citrus, and that kind of really stewed, cooked fruit. It's incredible contrast. It's a real privilege. Let's click on to October. What does October bring around? Well, Ralph and I have already got together and launched the OSWAs. So we suddenly go into this holding pattern now while all the things are happening behind the scenes in the online Scotch Whisky Awards. And we have to be careful about what whiskies, we don't have to be. I choose to be careful of what whiskies I talk about and what I want to talk about because I don't want to be seen to influencing the outcome in any way. Let me be clear, I don't think I do or would influence it in any way because you're all adults and you have your own way of thinking, your own opinions. But I don't want it to be seen. I want the OSWAs to build its integrity year by year as the years tick by. So I just don't want to be seen. I want to keep everything above board. So I choose not to. But this whiskey just kept getting talked about and talked about and talked about and talked about to the point that I finally sat down and said, right, I'm listening. I gave it some real time. I put it up against the other Guardians. And of course, you're always right. This is a bi-directional thing we have going here. It's not me just spouting off to you from behind a pulpit or podium. You are feeding back to me, whether it's through the channel, whether it's through Dramface, whether it's through the OSWAs, any of the projects I'm involved in, you've got a way to feed back to me. And you spoke about this one loudly and strongly. It's already been mentioned tonight. This is from Brooklady, of course. This is Port Charlotte's 10-year-old. And it's become a staple, a Guardian of Islay, as I say, 50% ABV and fully natural. Interestingly, it doesn't say anywhere that I can see, unless I'm being crazy, unless it's in really tiny writing or something, it doesn't say natural colour and non-chill filtered, but we know that it is. They should put it in the bottle though, especially now that they don't have tins, right? It needs to be on the bottle, guys. Still, this whiskey, I used it in the blind challenge last week, and it beat my beloved precious Ardbeg 10. It's it's kind of so fermenty compared to the Ardbeg. It's got much more density to it, much more fruit, much more kind of sponge cake notes, much more patisserie. And interestingly, despite this being the same age as the Ardbeg, 50% ABV, more or less the same kind of phenols content in the malt, the Ardbeg, I think, is a bit more smoky, a bit more outdoor cold smoke ash. This is a bit more kind of warm smoke, indoor, farmyard. More cask, more sweetness, more caramel, more syrup. There's a smoke. Plenty smoke on the palate to be getting on with. Plenty smoke. Less ash. I know through Speyburn, Indri, Glen, Port Charlotte 10, that I really, really need to be listening to the community more. These whiskies teach me that that's the case, to the point that Port Charlotte 10 was one of the 8 whiskies I almost put forward as my whiskey of the year. In the end, it was beaten, but by the thinnest of margins. It's just a cracking wee whiskey. Wonderful stuff. 50 to 60 pounds, depending on where you buy it from. It's a wee bit pricier than most. Remember, 50% ABV, there's a wee bit more in there. If you're one that likes to play with water and things, it holds water very, very well, and it's nice to sweeten with a wee drop of water. I used quite a bit of my last bottle in the blind challenge. This is a new bottle that I've just cracked, and I look forward to getting to know this one. Let's see how we're doing. Highlight of 2023, says Hellswood. Legfest and Islay with Jerry Miller. Our Whisky of the Year is an SMWS 20-year-old Craigellachie. Great pick for a Craigellachie. 44.163 Aquavitae. Helen, fantastic. I managed to meet you and Andy this year as well. Of course, you were there, hands-on, helping out at Legfest. Brilliant to have you too. I have to talk about Legfest as well. The Ardnavitaes came out in September. Legfest came along at that time of year when, and it was just for no other reason than Jimmy Legg was going to be here. We decided that was going to be the catalyst to us getting together. So I thought if a few of us meet up in the Bonaccord, what can go wrong? It's going to be fine. It was one of the most fortifying gatherings that I've ever had. It was the thing that made me look forward so much to the Glasgow Whisky Festival and the blind tasting that followed after that, because it doesn't matter what you do, what you provide. When the barflies get together, when the whisky community get together, when whisky folk get together, it's wonderful. When Jimmy Legg and I first met, I told him I was nervous that we might not get on face to face. And if that was the case, we needed to have a handshake and promise each other that we would just fake it, that for everybody else that was going to be hanging around in the time that he was in Scotland and we were all together, that we would just pretend that we were getting on fine and we were friends. It wasn't a consideration in the end, far from it. When I said goodbye to Jimmy and Angie with Peter Lee and Denise standing next to me at that railway gate, it was super emotional. It was very emotional. It made me realise whisky is here as a means to an end. Whisky is the catalyst. It's the backdrop. It's the lubricant, the glue, the whatever it is you want to call it. It's the thing that brings people together. Willing people, open-minded people, kind people, considerate people, patient people, generous people. All the adjectives that Jimmy Legg would deny apply to him. And yet in a whisky environment, they apply to him. And they apply to us all. Helen, Legfest was just fabulous. Just fabulous. We need to have more. We need to have more. Greg's Whisky Guide said, QED, lesson learned. For me, it's more interesting and more balanced aquavitae, especially contemporary batches I tried. Wonder if we're talking about the Port Charlotte. Are we on to Port Charlotte now? Rob Smith is saying tasting Ardbeg 10 and PC10 against each other is a great thing. Remarkably different, right? Remarkably different. Sandro is saying, what a superior whiskey. PC10 is a firm favourite with me. Fantastic, Sandro. I'm glad you're enjoying it. And Jean Kelly says, winding down to 2023, wishing a happy, healthy 2024 to you all, my fellow barflies. May the year ahead bring health, happiness, and warm times together. Cheers to that, Jean Kelly. Cheers to you. I picked up Cesari's dram. I hope I did, when he was talking about his Armorik and fantastic. And Graham Fraser is saying, great 2023, Roy. A joy to meet with you regularly. It's always brilliant to have you around. You're one of those stalwarts. Graham, what you do for the whisky community, what you bring to the whisky community, I'll never tire of telling people about it. It's fabulous. The fact that you would be happily one of our community and adding so much of that wisdom here is just a pleasure for us. Thank you so much, Graham. Anthony Lambert is saying, I hope and pray that I make it to Limburg in 2024. I didn't make it last year due to illness. I would love to finally meet up with you all barflies. Anthony, do the very best you can. And if you can't make it in 2024, we'll hold your space until next year. It won't be the last time, buddy. Okay, we need to swing into now. We're getting to the end. We're getting close to the end. Let's build on that kind of bi-directional thing. Here's another whiskey that I'll be honest, I can be arrogant. I knew this whiskey. I don't need to try this. I know what that is. You keep talking about it. You keep talking about it. Different people talk about it. More people talk about it. The OSWAs come along. Seems to be one of the most talked about whiskies in the OSWAs. I finally go out there. I buy a bottle. Paid a wee bit more than I should have for it, actually. I paid a bit over the odds, but there was a bottle there and I just bought it. You can pick it up for about 60 quid. It's been mentioned already tonight. And it was on the list for my whiskey of the year. It didn't make it, but it's a deserved worthy runner-up. This is Kilchoman's Sanic. core range, a mix of bourbon and sherry. But if you compare this to the purely bourbon Machier Bay, this is a kind of more sweet sherry profile. A bit more expensive than Machier Bay as well. My preferred style is ex-bourbon, as you all very well know, but I went out and bought a bottle to reacquaint myself with Kilchoman's core range Sannig. And my goodness, you're correct. Of course you're correct. You know what you're talking about. You know your whiskies and you know what you're enjoying. And you're a wee bit like me. When you find a whiskey that you're enjoying, you want to talk about it and you want to share it and you want to enthuse and evangelize about it. And this wee whiskey deserves that. 46% ABV, no age statement on it. But I can tell you right now, the Kilchoman is getting better and better as the years go by. A misstep in 2023 by them with their 16-year-old, far too highly priced, and a weird Loch Grunart, wasn't it? That kind of supermarket entry. Regardless, we need to focus on the Machier Bays, the Sanics, the Loch Gorms annual releases. There is some fantastic whiskey coming out of that little farm distillery in Islay. Sipping on the back of Port Charlotte. There's warmth, sweet, fruity, mouth-coating oiliness. I've only poured a tiny wee drop. Getting through a lot of drams tonight. It is the end of the year vPub. Dark honey. Thick, rich dark honey. A little bit of nuttiness. Almost like a kind of a hazelnutty, chocolate hazelnut type thing. Smoke is in check. It's nothing like the smoke that we're getting from our Port Charlotte. It's nothing like my memory of what I was sipping with Ardbeg earlier tonight as well. This is so much more about a warmth, a fruitiness, a sweetness, a comfort. I've not been sipping this nearly enough since I bought it. Hardly taken any out of it. A big fat sample there from one of the communities in a 10cl bottle. And I was sipping them backwards and forwards, realised they were almost identical, despite the fact the sample was about a year old. Tore through that, now onto the full bottle now. So grateful to have this. This needs to be one of my New Year whiskies. A crowd pleaser peated whiskey. And a justifiable contender for my whiskey of the year, and yet still didn't make it. I'm going to finish off talking about, as a build up to the last whiskey, one of the greatest events for me this year. I don't know how to pick apart Limburg. I don't know how to pick apart Legfest and a Glasgow Whisky Festival. They're all just kind of hypercharged, emotional, wonderful, fortifying human experiences, with whiskey being that core catalyst. But the Glasgow Whisky Festival, again, there was 100 of us, for crying out loud, 100 of us, moving from the festival to the curry house into the Bon Accord. It was messy. We'll do it better next year. It was wonderfully messy. And then the blind challenge the next day. It's difficult. I don't know. Do I need to do 2 blind challenges? I don't know how to do it. It was hugely oversubscribed just by word of mouth, but it all came together in the end. Some people missed out. I'll make it up to you in the future. It was amazing. Legfest, amazing. Limburg, amazing. Trips to Islay, amazing. Springbank, my week at Springbank in Campbelltown in August. Just an absolute utter privilege. A very expensive thing to do, but you come away from that thinking, that was good value. That was not expensive. I'm looking forward to Glasgow Whisky Festival next year. I'm looking forward to Limburg next year. The other things like Legfest, I don't know. Let's see what 2024 brings us. But let's finish out on a one bottle that arguably came closest to taking Whiskey of the Year, but did not. Featured in the OSWAs. You guys love it. You guys talk about it. It doesn't matter which batch it is. You absolutely go crazy for this stuff. I'm running out of empty glasses here. This is not an empty glass, but it is now. This is a Speysider, but like no other Speysider that exists. This has been Benromach. Let's not get caught up in the fact that their core range is still a dinosaur, a 43%. We'll just keep it at that because it's selling. They're not embracing the future. They're getting stuck in the past. But let's leave that. Let's celebrate the other things that they're doing. The Contrast series at 46%. Wonderful innovation. Different ways to dry the oak. The kiln dried and the air dried contrast that they brought out. The Caragold, different barley. Peat smoke sherry cask. The Contrast series, they're bringing us this, and don't consider that these are non-age statement products. These are vintage stated. We know the age of these things. It tells us on the label. Fantastic. But the one I'm celebrating with you tonight is not one of their 43% age stated, 10-year-old, 15-year-old, or 21-year-old. It's this absolute barnstormer, bonkers good, ridiculously reliable whiskey. Full, powerful, wow. Again, it's in the realm of that kind of workshop. There's a real dirtiness to this. It's like, it's not rust and metal, but it is a wee bit like that. But it is the creosote, it is the solvent and the oils and the faint lick of peat smoke. But the overriding flavor for me here is treacle. I know in some parts of the world you might call it molasses. Dense, dense, dense. Cracking value too. Amazingly, I actually got this with £10 off because it was last year's release. So still available. This is Benromach's Cask Strength release. This one is 59.6%. It's the 2012 vintage Cask Strength Batch 3. I think we're at Batch 4 or Batch 5. Batch 4, I think. I don't think Batch 5 is out yet. If it is, it's only just out. Regardless, I got this at an absolute steal. It's become a perma-shelf item. It is if somebody comes to me and says, oh, wow, what can you recommend in Benromach, or what can I have? Can I get hold of Springbank, or what can I have in a more kind of dirty style? You know, Ben Nevis is hard to get hold of. All it. Benromach. Pick up a Cask Strength. It's fabulous. The whiskey that got my whiskey of the year had to literally tear this bottle out of my hands. And I'll argue, I won't argue, I'll admit that perhaps the only reason it didn't win out is because the producer of my whiskey of the year is fully integrity, fully natural, fully fairly priced. You see all of those things about Benromach up until you talk about their 10, their 15, and their 21, 43% and chill filtered. It's abusive to a wonderful spirit. It's just my opinion, of course. Chris Barlow has bought us a dram. Chris, I didn't pick that up. I'm going to have to scroll up a wee bit. Many thanks, Roy, for being a whiskey communicator par excellence and for coordinating this motley crew of whiskey lovers around the whiskey world every week. Thank you, Chris, so much for the kind words and the kind dram all the way from Australia, Chris. Amazing. Jeffrey Bangers bought me a dram as well. Thanks, Roy, for another fantastic year. Just popping in to buy you a dram and toast this amazing community. I'm off to put my 5-year-old daughter to bed. Jeffrey, I hope that goes well. I remember those days well, and it can be fickle. Cheers to you, my friend. Thank you so much. Mr. Starting Gun has bought me a huge dram. Couldn't figure out to do a one-time on Patreon. In any case, cheers, Roy, and happy holidays from Seattle. Relatively new to Scotch whiskey, but I've been enjoying your content for some time. Much appreciate all you do. That's far too generous, my friend. It's far too generous. That would get you 2 years' worth of Patreon support, buddy. But I'll look you in the eye right now and tell you from the heart, thank you so much. It's very generous. The fact that it's a new name, even more so. Cheers to you. Alastair McPhail has bought me a dram. He's in here tonight. I always like to buy you a dram. This isn't as good as playing as at Speyside at the Bon or buying a dram at the pot stall, but it's still all I can do for now. Slant you and see you 2024. Alastair, unless you're dropping out, I'm going to see you in a few minutes for the quiz at the end, my friend. Thank you, Alastair. Thank you so much. Gino Camo, Happy New Year to you and your lovely family, Roy, and thank you for everything you do for the community. Cheers, my friend. Till we meet again, maybe 2024, if not, definitely 2025, Slancha. Gino, I have a suspicion I'll see you in the year ahead. A dram to you, Gino, and the family. Alastair McPhail, missed the starting gun. Jeffrey Bangers, Chris Barlow, and Graham Fraser. Great 2023, Roy. A joy to meet with you regularly. I picked that one up. Cheers to you all. Thank you. So there we have it. We've done it all. We've gone through everything. We've gone through 12 months. How am I doing for time? 2.5 hours. You knew this. My guests are still waiting patiently in the background. Thank you so much for hanging out. It's wonderful to have you all here. Nothing else to do but get on with the quiz at the end. But no, of course, you want to know what my whiskey of the year is. I can tell you that it is predictable, surprising, obvious, strange, clear, wonderful, fair, all at once. And yet it's still probably going to annoy you a wee bit. Here's my last clean glass of the evening. It's the end of the year vPub. I've got no responsibilities tomorrow. I can treat myself to 1 dram more. I never do this in the vPub, but I'm enjoying it tonight. And I'm going to pour my whiskey of the year. Every time I tried to push it down and find something else, every time I tried to push it down, I was pushing it down for one reason only. I was pushing it down because of availability. Despite the fact that I've easily purchased 3 bottles of it without fighting or getting into a scrum at all. I've just gone out and bought the thing. It's been on the shelf. It's been available online. The first bottle I bought at Good Spirits Company, and ironically, I drove it to where it was made. We rinsed that bottle. I bought another one where it was made. When I came back, I bought another one online at retail price. It was still available, and it stayed available for a long time. Now, I know that that's not the case everywhere, not all of the time, but I have an answer to that, something of an answer. So many of you guessing, and some of you actually getting it. Malcolm Douglas is in. How are you keeping, my friend? So good to see you. Yes, my producer of the year also makes my whiskey of the year. This is Kilchoman. It would have been easy for me to pick their 12-year-old because it's the same, but the 16-year-old, it just marches forward. No 2 releases are identical. They don't even, they're just happy to say this is our 16-year-old this year. This year was a move away from what I would have decided my favorite would be. Ex-bourbon, heavily focused, leaning towards ex-bourbon. There's a bit more richness, a bit more density, a bit more depth to this, a bit more sherry, a bit more that kind of style in this. But my goodness, we were in Campbelltown and we rinsed a bottle of this. Easily rinsed it. We were all declaring it one of our favourite whiskies of the week. The humble wee 16-year-old, plenty of it sitting on the shelf. Incredible. My friend Bill and I went into our accommodation on the last night with this much left in the bottle and said, let's have 1 dram from it and that'll be our nightcap and we'll go to bed. And we rinsed the bottle. It was drained. I had another bottle already purchased. I brought that home, rinsed that too. And this is the one I bought online and there's this much out of it. Why am I nominating this the whiskey of the year when it's unlikely you can get it? Relax. It is still available at retail even now. Remember the vPub I did just a few weeks ago to celebrate 6 years of the vPub? This was the cheapest whiskey on that chart. The curve started down here and it went like this exponentially. This was the cheapest whiskey. Fully natural, fully flavoured, integrity forward. Nothing to argue about. So what about you guys? What about you guys where you can't get your Kilchoman? Let me show you this. This is quite surprising, but I'm going to share with you now screen grabs that I took before in the minutes before I went live tonight, just to show you. This is Scotch Whisky Auctions. This is Kilchoman 16 going for retail and less. They ship internationally everywhere. The scalpers are not taking our Kilchoman 16 from us anymore. How about we go to another auction site? This is Whisky Auctioneer, another huge online auction site. By the way, these are not live bids right now. There is a live auction on this particular site, but these are bids that went out in these are auctions that went out in November and December. £50, £55, £60 for 16-year-old malt whiskey that tastes like this. It is stunning stuff. Absolutely stunning stuff. Let's get that clean glass. Dirty. So yes, Glengyle is my producer of the year, not for the first time. Glengyle also makes my whiskey of the year. And it's their 16-year-old. It could have easily been their 12-year-old. You might not agree. You would have a hard time arguing with me, I think. Cheers to you all. It's just, I don't know how. Sweet, balanced, easy, comforting. Stuff is hidden. There is complexity there. What arrives in a simple way suddenly starts to reveal sip after sip after sip. It is unfortunately and fortunately one of the easiest drinking Campbelltown whiskies I've ever happened across. And I'm speaking specifically about this 2023 release of their 16-year-old. Too Slow Rob has bought me a dram. You star, Rob. It's always great to see you. And thank you, Roy, and all the barflies. And Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too when it comes, Rob. It's wonderful to have you in, my friend. Always one of the first to give your thanks as well. Thank you, Rob. Peter Lee is in. You star. If there was a last dram that I'm buying for 2023, then it'll be a dram for you. Thank you for everything you do and every path that you take, Denise and I too. Here's to 2024 and good health to us all. Peter Lee, what a wonderful sentiment, my friend. I'll raise a glass momentarily to you and Denise. Rob, Peter, Denise, you're all stars. Thank you. A big dram coming in as well from Danny Hebbington in Brechin. Thank you for another year, Mr. Duff. I'll make a valiant effort to get down to Glasgow in 2024. Roy, all the best to you and yours, and have a great Hogmanay and an even more successful new year. Slanchava, Danny, love it. Love the sentiments coming out tonight. Thank you all. You're not just saying it to me, you're saying it to everyone. It's very appreciated. Thank you all. Justin Wan as well saying, got to sign off with another small dram. Great year for the vPub and the community. See you all in 2024. Hey, Justin, I got to hang out with you in 2023. And for that, I'm very grateful, my friend. Cheers to you too. A lot of whiskey happening tonight. I'm doing okay. It's the last vPub of the year. Small quantities. Lots to celebrate, lots to talk about. 2024 is going to unravel in a very interesting way. Finally, now, the only thing left to do is to get my guests in, for everybody to pony up and attempt the very last quiz at the end for 2023, the quiz at the end of the year. Ian Bruce is saying, seen it available but expensive in Australia. Checked across the auction sites, but it's weighing up the duty added to the delivery charges. Sometimes I know when you're as far away as you are, Ian, you maybe need to just kind of pull your money away until you can build up and kind of amortize the shipping costs to make it a wee bit more affordable to you. But there are some things that we can't control. And as I said at the outset of tonight, if I'm not trying to sell whiskey to you, which is true. I mean, it's nice to celebrate whiskies that you can buy too, of course. But if I'm genuinely about that, if I'm not trying to sell and move whiskey, and that's absolutely true, I am not. I'm here to celebrate whiskey that we already know about. Then why would I not put forward Kilchoman 16 just because it struggles in some markets? There are ways around this. When it's done as well as that whiskey, that producer, that distillery is done, it needs to be celebrated. And I know it's a wee bit obvious at times. I know it's just going with the cool kids, but it's just being truthful. Look at the other whiskies that it beat out tonight. Justin Wan is saying that's what made it great, Aquaviti. Chester Yo, good to see you, Chester. That looks like maybe a new name, Chester Yo. He's saying, glad to have a bottle of this year's Kilchoman 16, but my moment of the year is finding a Springbank 15 at RRP on Christmas Eve and uncorking and sharing it with my brother on Christmas Day. Core memory. That's just beautiful. It's perfect, Chester. Whiskey finds you, and it found you. Terrific stuff. Lowlander is saying, I'm out of here. Happy New Year to all of you and the best for 2024. Thanks for all your content this year, Aquaviti. And cheers, Lowlander. Come back for the quiz on the replay, my friend. Cheers to you and all of you. Thank you all for your generosity tonight. Let's get the quiz on. I'm not going to make this under 3. When was the last 3-hour vPub? My patient guests are waiting patiently in the background. I'll bring in Alastair McPhail. Stifle the yawns, big guy, and you come.
No, Roy, I'm not patient. I'm hammered.
Oh, okay.
No,
well, you tend to do quite well.
I'm not at all. I'm having a good time. And this is what I'm having right now. You know, Benromach Contrasts Organic.
Wonderful stuff. 46% as well. Enjoying it?
Oh, love it.
Good.
You know, Benromach. Okay, you know, it can be a bit underpowered sometimes, but this isn't. This is
no, the contrast series are not. That's right. They're doing it right there. Let's bring in Rob and see what Rob's sipping over in Missouri. Rob, how you doing? What have you got in the glass? Muted, Rob. Unmute yourself, my friend.
Some Kalila.
Hey, Kalila. Rock solid. Fantastic.
Kalila.
Quite a dark Kalila there as well. Wonderful. Yeah. You ready for the quiz, Rob?
Yes. Always.
Good. Good to have you. Let's head down to Skipton to our man and to our Oliver. How are you, Oliver? Are you still doing well?
I'm good. Still going.
Fantastic. Listen, I have to say, I know how hard it is. You guys are just sitting in the background, just watching, listening to me havering, as we say in Scotland. Just all this nonsense coming out, sitting there patiently for the quiz at the end. Hopefully, you would have been doing that anyway in the lounge. There's just a wee bit, it's different tonight because you're actually able to participate live. Thank you for your patience nonetheless. Have you all got your wee numbers, your wee letters ready to play this at the end?
Hi.
Yes, good stuff. Alistair's ready. Rob's ready. Rob, what's your typical score on a quiz at the end?
6 out of 10.
Okay, that's what we're aiming for tonight. Alastair, I have a vivid memory of at the end of 2021, you scoring your first ever 10 out of 10 live.
I got 11 out of 11. Because
that's right. That's true. 11 out of 11. That's true.
I tell you what, I'm not going to do that tonight. You know, my last 4 scores have been 4, 5, 10, 10. So I'm all over the shop.
Well, Oliver, somebody's throwing things around.
I dropped one of no nonsense's coins right off my glass.
That's okay. That's okay. They're very durable. I'm going to ask you, Oliver, what do you think I did for the quiz at the end? I'm going out at the end of the year. I want it to be positive. I want it to end on a high. I want everybody to end on a high. So did I put out an easy quiz to make sure loads of people got a 10 out of 10? Or did I just say no? It's the quiz at the end.
No.
And it has to be hard-earned. Oliver, what did I do?
I think there were too many last time I was in, at least. I missed the last one, but the one before, there were too many 9 out of 10s getting close to you. I think you've probably got an extra hard ass hat at the end.
I don't know how hard the ass hat is, but I have not gone for an easy quiz, my friends. I'm sorry to say. You're in this. Put your armor on, put your body armor on. You're in this with everyone else. We're going to go out with a quiz at the end. And if somebody does get a 10 out of 10 tonight, it'll be very deserved and very well earned.
Oh, shit.
Good luck, everyone. Good luck, everyone. Let's jump in, see if everybody's ready in the chat. They are sitting comfortably. Here we go. The last quiz of 2023. Remember, if this is your first quiz, it's all multiple choice. Relax. You only need to share your score if you want to. But even if you're guessing, you've still got a fantastic chance of getting, let's say, 3 or 4 out of 10. You're trying to navigate your way through to a pass mark, which is 5 out of 10. And of course, I do believe that 1 or 2 have a shot of a 10 out of 10 tonight. Strap in, guys. Wonderful to have you here participating. Question 1. Oh, I've just realized a problem. I think it's okay. I think we're going to make our way through this. But what I've realized is I have imported this without the other slides added. So I'll just tell you what the answers are. Don't worry. Everything is still intact. Which of these distilleries release a non-age statement expression called Legacy? Is it A, Glengoyne, B, Ardmore, or C, Tomatin? Alastair thinks it's Tomatin.
Go with the crowd.
Oh, going with the crowd. C. I can tell you, guys, that Glengoyne releases a Legacy. Ardmore releases a Legacy. And Tomatin also releases a Legacy. Usually there's another slide that reveals the answer, but they're not available tonight, so we'll just have to... It'll mean that we get through this quicker tonight.
So my mum's favourite whiskey is Tomatin Legacy.
Wow. So you knew that was rock solid. Regardless, the answer I'm looking for is A, B, or C. They're all correct tonight. They all have it. A freebie to start. Nobody gets a donut on the quiz at the end of the year. Question 2. Roy, in 2023, loved Longmorn's 18-year-old secret Speyside release. But which of these other distilleries form part of the same secret Speyside collection from Chivas Brothers, Pernod Ricard? Which of these other distilleries form part of that same collection? It's getting tough already. Chivas Brother, Pernod Ricard. Is it A, Glenkeith, B, Aberlour, or C, Benromach? Matthew Reinke is saying yay, he's celebrating getting 1. What do you think? At 3, 2, 1, A. I'll give you a countdown so that you're holding up at the same time. It means that it does strip away the ability to follow the crowd, Rob, but aye, sorry. But you're all saying Glenkeith, and you've nailed this, absolutely. Glenkeith, along with Caperdonic, Braza Glenlivet, and of course the aforementioned Longmorn, all make up the secret Speyside collection from Pernod Ricard. Pretty interesting little collection.
That is a beautiful Longmorn.
Alastair, it's interesting that this question's appeared because you and I have had an exchange about just how good that is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got one on your
say
so actually as well.
Yeah.
You got one as well, Oliver?
After I saw your review, yeah, a recycled review of it, I think.
Did you open it yet?
It's just over here, not quite open yet, no.
Mine's not quite got much left.
You're in for a treat, Oliver. Get it opened because if you need to buy a backup, it's not going to be around forever, buddy.
Yeah.
Question.
Fantastic.
So the A, Glenkeith, is what I was after there. Aberlour is a Pernod Ricard distillery, but Benromach, of course, is a Diageo distillery. So that should have helped to bring it back down to a 50-50. Question 3. The original 1990s release of Black Bowmore, 1964, is available online for $27,500. How much was it originally retailed for in the mid-90s? A, £80, B, £800, or C, £8,000? I don't know about you guys, but the mid-90s are very, very recent in my mind. But it is a full. We're getting on for it being 30 years ago. Come on, it's incredible.
Yeah. They were having a hard time selling whiskey back then as well.
I was living in Turkey at the time.
You weren't buying Bowmore Black, were you?
No.
Or Black Bowmore? Okay, gentlemen, 3, 2, 1. Commit to your answers, please. A. Spot on. 30 years later, £27,500, but it was considered stupidly expensive in the mid-90s when it was launched at £80.
80 quid was a lot of money.
It's nuts, isn't it? Nuts. Sorry, I'm not doing the usual reveal of the answer, but it was 80 quid. Question 4. Ballindalloch Distillery was gifted a spirit safe dating from 1863. Where did this spirit safe come from? Was it a gift from neighbouring Cragganmore, part of the dismantled Inverleven Distillery, or the original Rosebank Distillery? Where did Ballindalloch's 1863 safe come from? Was it A, a gift from Cragganmore, B, part of Inverleven, or C, the original Rosebank Distillery? Alastair's away to grab his book to see what it is. Robert Brotherton, that looks like a new name. He's bought me a dram. Thanks, Roy, for the vPub and OSWAs. Great stuff. Looking forward to next year's content. That's a very generous dram, Robert. Thank you so much for dropping in. I think this is the first time I've welcomed you, buddy. But I'm glad that you're enjoying the vPub, and I'm also glad that you're enjoying the Online Scotch Whisky Awards too. Cheers to you, Robert. Thank you. Wee bit annoyed I had so much time in prep for this one. And I didn't do the quiz slides the way I normally do it. Regardless, the questions are still intact, and we still have a quiz at the end. Well, let's go with it without Alastair. He's had to go and fix an emergency, I imagine. Gentlemen, 3, 2, 1. Where was Ballindalloch's safe from? Both think it's the original Rosebank Distillery. No one knows where the spirit safe from the original Rosebank Distillery actually is. It was actually a gift from Diageo's Cragganmore.
Oh.
A is the answer to this one. I knew it would be a tough quiz tonight. I knew it was. The only thing that could have helped you there, Rob, before we went live tonight, you said, I need to read the questions, didn't you? Ballindalloch was gifted a spirit safe, and the only answer with a gift there was A. I tried to help. Here we go with the picture question. I'm going to need to be careful with this because I have to check it first because of the way that it's structured. Let me have a quick look. Is this going to work? Yeah, it will. I think it's going to work. I might be giving everybody a freebie because I haven't done this properly this time. Anyway, the picture question is number 5. It's not a Graham Fraser one this week. Alastair, did you catch that last one? Are you okay?
Sorry, I'm 62 and needed to pee.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, a former foreign secretary, Jack Straw, said to me, once you hit 50, never pass up the chance to have a pee.
It's true.
It's true.
He's right. He wasn't right on a lot of things, but he's right on that. So, would you want to have a go at that one? Just throw a dart.
B.
It's A, my friend.
Okay.
So that caught everyone. That was a wee bit of a banana skin tonight. Now we move into the picture question. That means my 3 guests tonight are all of them don't have the ability to make
We're
a 10
3
out
out
of
of
10.
4.
3 out of 4. I'm going to show you an image now. It's not a Graham Fraser image, so if Graham Fraser's still in, he can participate. We are looking at either A, a Glen, B, a Ben, or C, a Loch. We're looking at one of those distilleries. We're looking at A, a Glen, B, a Ben, or C, a Loch. Oh, I wish I'd spent a bit more time getting this quiz right. I felt like it was all done. Alastair is a treat, says Mike Molasses. He is indeed. You should meet him in real life one day. Graham Fraser is saying it's on the same estate that owned by Ballindarloch. That's right, Graham.
Thanks very much, Molasses, by the way, Mike. Yeah, so.
Yeah. I have the same picture, says Jimmy Legg, only I'm in it, given clues. After 3, gentlemen, 3, 2, 1. Is it A, a Glen, B, a Ben, or C, a Loch? You all think it's a Glen. What are we looking at, Alastair?
So, hang on. So,
You know for the night.
no. I'm in the quiz. Sorry.
Somebody else wants to participate in the quiz.
You probably guessed that was my wife saying, like, "What are you doing? Are you here for the night?"
Yeah,
Because
you're
it
here
is-
for 10 or 15 minutes
Because it
more.
is 1:45 in the morning, and she's thinking,
So I'm keeping
"What are
everyone
you
up.
doing, you bum?"
I'm abusing the fact that it's holiday season, right? It's a
Yeah,
Glen,
but the thing
it's
is,
Glendale.
I've taken the holiday, but my wife's working, so
Okay. No bother. Let's get it over with. It is Glengyle. It's my producer of the year,
Sorry.
man. Whiskey of the year. It's Kilchoman, of course. I've obviously photoshopped out all the signage and things, but spot on. The next, if I'd done the quiz properly tonight, the next slide would have replaced all the signs, but there's a mess tonight. Let's go with it. Question 6. This is an I Am a Distillery Dramface podcast style. I am recently founded. I am known for my peated style, and I can produce up to 500,000 litres per annum. I'm currently sold as the Legacy series. Where am I located? A, I'm in the Highlands, Islands region. B, I'm in the Highlands on the mainland. Or C, I'm actually in the Lowlands. I am recently founded. I'm known for my peated style and can produce 500,000 litres per annum, and I'm sold currently as the Legacy series. Where am I located? Whiskey music is insane. Now I know why I watch on reruns. Terrific. You feeling confident about this one, guys? I'll give you a wee countdown again. 3, 2, 1. Let's see what you have. Islands, islands, islands. Everybody thinks it's the islands. Of course. Peated, recently founded, 500,000 litre distillery, selling their product as the Legacy series is Torravik. Of course, I'm talking about the Isle of Skye, Highlands, Islands region. Well done. You're all scoring 5 out of 6. You have all reached a pass mark. Congratulations. The crowd's doing pretty well too. Gonna go with a wild C, says your Uncle Vanya. Oh, slipped a wee bit there. Sorry to hear about that.
So we're in top half territory now.
Oh, no, quite. You keep it in check, Mr. McPhail. This is available on YouTube forevermore. Question 7. What is odd about the Clynelish distillery still room? Something is odd about Clynelish and its distillery still room. A, it holds an odd number of stills. B, it's split into 2 separate still rooms. Or C, its spirit stills are larger than its wash stills. So many mistakes in the quiz, Roy. You need a break, don't you? You need a wee break from the vPub. So many mistakes. It's not like
I'm going for the Glengarry 12.
good for you. Good for you. You enjoy it, Alastair? Yep.
Oh, I love the Glengarry. I've got 4 independent bottlings of the Glengarry including the recent Adelphi Adventurers Club.
Oh,
one
nice
that
one.
they did, which
11-year-old.
gorgeous. Oh, that's absolutely gorgeous.
Amazing.
Mind you, your Connell was on the vPub with that Kleinleash 12-year-old Adelphi. Has anyone ever seen that anywhere?
It's vaporware.
I've never seen it. Has anyone seen it?
I don't even know why he was plugging it. It was
I
basically
know.
just a...
What
here's-
an arse.
Here's what you could have won.
Yeah, exactly.
After 3, is it an odd number of stills, 2 separate still rooms, or spirit stills actually bizarrely larger than its wash stills? Atypical there. A, B, or C? 3, 2, 1, go. Alastair's out the traps already with a C. Rob's going for a B, and Oliver's going for a C too. Rob, apologies, my friend. Alastair and Oliver are correct. Oddly, not by much. I mean, only about 1,000 litres. I think 26,000 litres. But it's weird for spirit stills to be larger than its wash stills. But at Kleinleash, what they're actually doing is running their spirits, their wash stills actually slightly faster than their spirit stills, which accounts for the atypical configuration.
Right, can I just say that to all the barflies that this is much more nerve-wracking live than doing it in the lounge.
Exactly how it should be. You're awfully brave, Mr. McPhail. You are very brave. There are some full 7 out of 7s in there. Luke John.
Well, some people have tried to kill me, Roy. Yeah,
Still, Luke John, 7 out of 7. Sasha Faber, 7 out of 7. Cesari's on a 7 out of 7.
What's this 7s out of 7s?
Yeah, still some. You guys are on 6s and a 5. Let's roll into question 8. Which of these American malt distilleries are furthest north? Apologies for the just is. I need a proofreader. Which of these American malt distilleries is furthest north? A, Westland, B, Stranahan's, or C, Westward? One for you, Rob. I mean, it's just as far from you as it is from us, practically, but which of these American... Well, you're not so far from Stranahan's, I would guess. Which of these American malt distilleries are furthest north? A, Westland, B, Stranahan's, or C, Westward? Jimmy Legg is saying, I'm a proofreader, but my fees are very high. Yeah. I do a bit of proofreading myself, Jimmy, which is super frustrating when you do this. I did finished the quiz earlier today, and I told myself it was done. It's clearly not. We make it work. I'm looking for the furthest north. Alastair. 3.
Oh, sorry, Emma.
2, 1, all of you. Everyone's saying Westland. Westward is in Oregon, I think close to Portland. Stranahan's is in Denver, Colorado. And Westland is away up in Seattle. Absolutely spot on, guys. Well done. You are correct. It is Westland. Second from last, how much do you charge Aquavitae? I do it all for free, Jimmy, but only for very specific projects, as you know. Dramface being one of them. Jimmy Jazz on an 8 out of 8. Hell's Wid on 8 out of 8, along with Cesari still holding on for an 8. Okay, there's a good chance that there's going to be a 10 out of 10.
I think we've all passed, haven't we?
Sorry?
We've all passed, haven't we?
You can celebrate your pass marks already, absolutely. Penultimate, second from last. The second last question of 2023. What strange set of circumstances eventually forced the decision to close Glenglassaugh in the 1980s? Glenglassaugh is one of those weird distilleries that's been closed longer than it's actually been open in its lifetime. A, it was a significant snowfall, destroying many warehouse roofs. B, it was the closure of Portellen and Brora in the same year. Or C, it was a failed attempt to sweeten the whiskey with treated water. What weird set of circumstances eventually forced the decision by then owners Edrington, I can add in, if it helps, to close Glenglassaugh in the 1980s. Actually, I think it was Highland Distillers, pre-Edrington, Highland Distillers it would have been. Snowfall on warehouse roofs, the closure of 2 other distilleries, Port Ellen and Brora, or a failed attempt to sweeten the whiskey with treated water. Awful question. Unless you know the answer, it's pretty easy. There'll be a lot of hate coming. A lot of hate coming.
Uh-oh.
3, 2, 1. Snowfall for Rob. Snowfall for Oliver. Snowfall for Alastair. Banana skin caught you, I'm afraid. Snowfall has been a thing, but it's never caused a distillery to close as far as I'm aware. Closure of Port Ellen and Brora in the same year. They closed in 1983, but Glenglassaugh stayed open until 1986. It was a failed attempt to sweeten the whiskey with treated water. It was competing with Glenrothes to be a component of the famous grouse. And in order to sweeten the whiskey, they thought the water, this is as recent as the 1980s, they thought the water was having an impact. And in Glenglassaugh up at the coast there, it's hard water, so that they put a water softener in, to the point that they eventually put in a water treatment plant that proved so expensive to run that eventually killed off the distillery in 1986.
Wow.
That's what happened to Glenglassaugh. Glenrothes took up the slack and ended up providing the sweet, supposedly sweet whiskey component for Glenrothes. I think that has just knocked the wind out of a hell of a lot of people. And for that, I don't apologise. It is the quiz at the end. Let's go into the asshat at the end
Graham
of the year,
Fraser
guys.
is still on 9 out of 9.
Graham's got a 9, yeah.
Graham Fraser, 9 out of 9. Phew. Wow. It might be, and he's playing fully tonight. He didn't send in the photo this week. It's not his photo. So he can genuinely take a 10 out of 10 tonight if he gets the asshat right.
Well, no, let's be honest. We all usually copy him anyway.
Good for you. Good for
That's
you.
true.
Question 10 is an asshat. Of the 42 vPubs in 2023, how many were solo sessions hosted only by Roy? But I have a very self-indulgent question for the last question of 2023. Is it around the same number as A, the number of Scotch malt distilleries owned by Diageo, B, the number of Scotch malt distilleries located on islands, or is it C, the number of Scotch malt distilleries beginning with G?
Great question.
It's horrible. But I did share some of the information earlier in the vPub tonight. I've told you how many were solo sessions. Don't know if it helps you. Was the quiz questions made by the Grinch, says Ian Bruce. Why the end of the year any different banana skinnery than ass hattery than we're used to? Exactly, Mikey. It's just go with it. It has to be something. If somebody gets a 10 out of 10 tonight, it is a genuine thing to celebrate. I did 42 vPubs in 2023. I think it's 42. But how many were solo sessions versus the community on location, guest sessions? Okay, I can tell you that Scotch malt distilleries beginning with G. See, I don't have this, but I think it's in the order of 27, I think, Scotch distilleries. Going from memory now. Scotch malt distilleries located on islands. There's about 22. Scotch malt distilleries owned by Diageo is 29. I can tell you that Solo vPubs is 23. B is the right answer. And now hold up your tickets. B. Hold up your B.
Yeah.
B, of course. Hey! Well done. Easy ask that question at the end. Terrific. B is the correct answer. The number of distilleries located on islands is closest. Did Graham manage it? Graham, I bet you didn't. I bet you did. Could be A or C. I'll go with A, says Graham Fraser. Oh, no. Oh, no. What a damp squib to end on. Do you know what we need to do? Do you know what we need to do? We just need to say, it's just because I made an absolute blunder of the quiz tonight. There wasn't the opening question, then the answers appear, the potential answers appear, then the true answer appears. None of that was there. The photoshopping that I did tonight and then the appearing of the signage, none of that appeared because I didn't get it ready. Every single question tonight was borked, wasn't it?
Yeah, but Roy, everyone had a good time.
Everybody from that, based on the rules of the vPub, if all the questions are broken, it's a freebie for everyone. And everyone gets a 10 out of 10.
Is this my next 10 out of 10? After my
I made a
11 out of
backside
11?
of the quiz at the end of the year. Rick Johnson's coming in right at the end with a wee drama. I want to thank you for a magical time this year, he's saying. I've learned so much and started to turn virtual friendships into real live ones. Here's a dram to say thanks and see you keep drinking. Thank you very much, Rick. It's a pleasure for me to keep drinking, buddy, especially on this evening. Cheers, Rick. I think that's the end of my Kilchoman 16 already. Ian Bruce is saying, great quiz. Glad to grab a 9 out of 10.
Is this the end of the vPub?
No, not quite yet. Brian Cabayas is celebrating a 10 out of 10. Unbelievable. Is that Helen's Wood is saying 10 out of 10. She's got a 10 out of 10. Cesari's got a 10 out of 10. Alastair McPhail's got a 10 out of 10. Rob Smith has got a 10 out of 10. Whiskey Music, 10 out of 10.
I think this might be because
Sasha's got a 10 out of 10. Oliver's got a 10 out of 10. InWhiskyVeritas, 10 out of 10. Gene Kelly.
Worth staying up for.
Worth staying up for. Wonderful.
Right,
wonderful.
can I say a word?
No, you can't. Yes, of course you can, Mr. McPhail. Go right ahead. Take your time.
I just want to say thank you for everything you do for this community. You know, we met in August in the Bon. Then I came for Legfest, and the Legfest was just epic. Then Glasgow Whisky Festival and everything else. But the thing is, you have built this community and you refuse to take credit for it. Everyone loves you for it. And everyone just loves this community. I'm not joking. And so let me just say on behalf of the community, because no one else is doing it, that we are really happy that you and Lynn and the Waynes have had a fantastic Christmas. But in 2024, we're going to ride you hard on great whiskies, and we're going to have good, serious chats about great whiskies as well. But in the end, this community is the best community. I've seen many communities, and this really is the best. And I hope that the two other guys online will agree with me. But I just want to say thank you, Roy, for everything you do. Thank you for, I hope you had a great Christmas. But as a Scot, as a fellow Scot, happy New Year, happy, prosperous, and healthy 2024 to you and your family. And I hope that everyone joins in with me.
Yeah. Well said.
Away you go, you big sick. I'll take it. Thank you. Thank you, Alastair.
Fuck off.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's we have to always be appreciative of this amazing thing that we have. We have to be precious about it. When people come in and they're a wee bit kind of prickly and things, just be patient with them, a wee guiding hand, say, no, This isn't your typical internet corner. This is actually a good space, a healthy space, a mentally positive space. And I think I appreciate your words, Alastair. I really do. But you'll know as a fellow Scot that compliments don't land easy on us, right? We've not worked out how to accept them graciously.
We
And
don't
right
do
on
it
time.
well. Yeah, it's a...
Too slow.
No, but the thing is,
Rob.
Roy, you really should, because you set up this community and everyone loves you and everyone joins this community because they identify with you.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you. I'm going to go all Jimmy Leg on you here. Too slow has bought me. He's celebrating being a member of the. I'm all tongue-tied now. Too slow is celebrating being a member of the Barflies for 40 months, and he said 7 out of 10. I am good. And Jimmy Leg comes in with the zingers that only Jimmy can. And he said, I only like you, Roy. Alastair is overstating it. Well,
yeah,
Jimmy,
but Jimmy loves me, really, honest.
Doesn't matter, Alastair, because we love Jimmy, and that's the antidote. Cheers, Jimmy Leg.
Sláinte, Jimmy Leg.
Listen, I want to thank all of you. I can see the emojis, the chat's lighting up. Everybody seems to be happy, despite the fact that we've been here for 3 hours, 20 minutes to celebrate the very last vPub of 2023. Let me raise a glass to you and Whiskey Veritas, Oliver, for stepping forward at very short notice at my suggestion of reviving Is It a Speyside.
No,
Very
Roy,
grateful.
thanks for having me back.
It was a great idea. Thanks for having me. It was a good night.
Rob Smith out in St. Louis, Missouri. Not St. Louis, St. Louis, Missouri, for stepping forward as well, despite the fact they only got the link at the very last minute. And Alastair, you knew that if you did step forward, you were a reserve guy. I told you, I framed this to say, just be in reserve. And you were like, aye, whatever. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
but
you all so much.
I thought, whatever support I can give you, Roy, I'll do it. And you said, yeah, you'll be a reserve. That's fine. I don't care. I can step in. I'm the substitute.
I
hope I did okay.
You always do okay, Alastair. You always do okay. You never got your 11 out of 11 this time, but you brought your charm. I can't wait to hang out with you again in 2024. It will happen, buddy.
I'll love to see you again in 2024, Roy.
Thank you for your support. Thank you for your kind words. Thank you for your energy, your wisdom, and everything that you've done for us before we even knew you as a barfly. Can we all raise a glass to each other and say thank you so much? Cheers.
Aye, absolutely. Nice to see you all.
Hang about, stay post-credits. I'll be here, and I'll be able to raise a glass for you once the credits roll. But thank you. Thank you, my friend Rob. Thank you. Thank you, Oliver. And thank you, Alastair McPhail, our whiskey ambassador. What a star. What great guys to hang out with the end of the year. Listen, I was very mindful of lots of things tonight. I had lots of things going on. I had lots of things to talk about. We get through it in the end. I did bork the quiz at the end. That's not the usual quiz that you see. The questions all functioned and they worked and things, but honestly speaking, I did make a mess of it. And by the rules of the quiz, any question that's wrong or is broken or somehow made a mess of, it's a freebie for everyone. By that definition, everyone gets a 10 out of 10 on what was essentially a really, really difficult quiz. Brian has bought me a dram to say, not a 10 out of 10 for me. I took 10 for your not so polished quiz. Thank you all for that. I took 10 for your not so polished quiz. Yes, thank you all for what you do for the whiskey community, and Happy New Year. Brian, my friend down in Australia, thank you so much. Gino in Canada is also celebrating being a member of the Barflies for 45 months. He's saying Happy New Year to the Barflies. Cheers. I want to take a moment. Listen, everything that Alastair said is true. But it's difficult for me to kind of talk about it all the time, every week, and because the more you talk about it, the more you say it, the more it's almost like you dilute it, and it becomes something that we just take for granted and things. We can never take this for granted. This community, this willingness to be open to each other, to be accepting of each other, to trust each other, to know that there's no subterfuge, nothing fishy going on, nothing, just genuine, honest human connectedness and camaraderie, and enjoying this amazing thing that we have. Well, we have the health and willing and mood to enjoy it. It is absolutely precious. Despite the challenges in 2023 and the inevitable challenges that are going to be brought to us in 2024, the same will endure. We are all here together. Whisky 101, Nick is saying all the best in 2024. And he's saying, he's just mentioning so many people. Thank you, Nick. All the best to you in Belgium. Jolly Rover is saying, Slanchiva, have a great start to 2024, everyone. Thank you so much for everything. Jimmy Legg, give my best to Lynn. I know what she has to deal with now. Cheeky bugger. I love you, big guy, but you're a cheeky bugger. Benny Friss is saying, Happy New Year to everyone. May 2024 be good to you all. Thanks, Barflies. And Ryan Sutherland, Happy New Year to everyone. Well done, Roy. Aquaviti on another great year. And here's to 2024. To all of you, to Ryan, to Jimmy, to Jolly Rover, to Jean Kelly, Whisky with Molly, Ben, Nick 101 in Belgium, Peter Lee, the fabulous Peter Lee, and the fabulous Denise Lee, to everyone that makes this community is just as wonderful as it is. Thank you to all of you. I raise this glass and hope that you absolutely have the best 2024 that you deserve. I'll remind you all, like I always do, that you're very dearly loved, and I look forward to welcoming you back on the 18th of January here for a shorter, much more succinct, but nonetheless enjoyable, I hope, vPub. Thank you. Happy New Year when it comes, and Slanchiva.